Somebody's phoning me.
Dude, did you know you were on the telly?
Yeah, really? Am I?
Hey everyone, welcome to That Tunnel Show. Viewers, comments and questions live down here.
Nick here.
Paul here. Hi.
So, you've heard us bang on about him enough. Ladies and gentlemen, very dear friend Mr. Paul Stacey is joining us today.
What are we doing?
We're just hanging out.
This is hanging out. Great.
Just hanging out.
What I need to do is make sure the podcast is recording, of course, which I have yet to manage.
Oh, you missed all the...
Missed all the jazz.
Noodling.
You missed all the jazz.
You see?
What's that, jazz?
See how that
What's
works?
that, jazz?
Yeah, with one Z.
Welcome everybody. Happy Monday to you all. It's been a monumentous week for very many reasons. Not least, Paul Stacey has joined us today.
Yay!
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
For a bit of context, we talk about Paul a lot on the show. One of the very cool things about doing things like me and Dan do in our lives is you get to meet and hang out with people like Paul. Stellar musician, producer. What else do we say, Paul? Bon vivant.
I was an actor at one time.
Oh yeah, you was on EastEnders once.
No, I was not.
Were you not?
No, I was on the bill one time. Anyway.
He was in 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Oh,
He was in 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yeah.
You asked. Yes, it's true.
Was it?
Long time ago. But back to music now. So.
Did you go to Crossroads? Did I see you at Crossroads?
I was at Crossroads, but I was doing front of house
Were you?
for my friend Kurt Rosewinkle.
Ah, nice.
Oh.
I see. Now he's someone else we should really have on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I've been in touch with Kurt, and he said, yeah, he'd love to do it. We just
Maestro. He is Maestro.
That would be amazing.
Does he live in Germany?
He lives in Berlin. Yeah.
Right. There we are. So yes, welcome Paul, and hello to everyone, all our regular viewers, anyone who's new. All we can do is apologise, really. What will follow is 2 hours of general chit-chat.
Yeah, I suppose I better apologise in advance. Yeah.
I'm just trying to log on as usual, which is what normally happens. So monumental week, Johnny Marr on Friday. Flipping out, what a show. We've been waiting long enough to put it out. We finally put it out, and thank you to everyone who's watched and said something nice about it. We've had a truly inspiring response to Johnny.
Yeah, it was wonderful, wonderful.
Exactly as we would hope and expect. Look at this: 3 middle-aged men staring at their
trying
phone,
to get the
trying to
stuff
make the
on
technology
their
work.
phone. It was a magic show. So, Paul, one of the things we talked about when we talked about Paul is you obviously had a lot to do with producing Noel for the last, I want to say, 25
I've been involved
years?
for 25 years, yeah.
Yeah. And with that, so I think you were in the studio when Johnny was there as well.
Oh, yeah. A few times, yeah. He was on the first and second one, third one. Yeah, I think he's been involved. Yeah, sure. I can't remember quite, but yes, he was on a song called "The Mighty Eye." Yeah,
I love that song.
I remember that.
Yeah. So, what was really interesting when Johnny would talk about, because a conversation that you and I have been having for 20 years is about courage in music, and some of the stories I hear about Johnny absolutely exemplify that conversation, because he will go in and he's really willing to just completely be open and expose and try stuff.
Yeah.
He's not going back to go, I'm just going to do the jangly thing. And, he's like...
Well, he's paying attention to the song. I mean, that's it. I mean, the song is the king for him as well. Just like Noel. It's not about anything else, actually. It's all about how to get the song across.
Right. I love that.
That's really the key thing. It never really is about anything else.
Shouldn't be confusing, should it? There should be nothing surprising in that statement. And
No.
so often we get locked down in technology, we get locked down in option paralysis, in
Ego.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine as well. I mean, you can't help it. You know, you want everybody wants to come out good. Everybody wants to come out, well. But yeah.
But what's the point coming out if you sound good if what you haven't done is serve the song? It's like, well, it's the song isn't much, but there's a bit of guitar playing in it that's amazing.
I think it's just that anything that's very musical will last longer than something that's impressive.
Sure.
I think that's actually it.
That's really good.
Is if it's impressive, you might. If I hear things that are really impressive, I go, "Oh wow, I can't do that," and or whatever it is. But if it's musical and something melodic and something memorable, I think memorable is the only thing that's important, really. And
so
that lasts for years.
Memorable. So
yes.
You played the solo on Riverman.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
go on. Go on. Say it. Say it.
No. Now, it's a really memorable, beautiful solo.
Yes.
And that just sort of happened in the studio on the day, right?
I've actually got a story for that, how that happens.
Is that all right?
Yeah, no, I mean, when I'm working with Noel, we'll be working on a song, and when it comes to you coming up with ideas, if you've got anything, which he'll look at you and he'll go, have you got something? And you go, yeah. You've got to be able to do it really quick.
Right.
You haven't got any time. He doesn't have the patience. He'll admit it himself. He said, I don't have the patience. You've got to be quick.
Right.
So while the song is being cut, like he'll have done the acoustic guitar and I'm getting the song in my head, I'll be whistling in my head. Oh, he's probably going to want some brass on this. So, so if you remember the solo actually goes da 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 da. I imagine the brass section going ba, 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 like a bit like Penny Lane. So I had that in my head, in my ear, and then Noel was actually trying out a guitar solo once we cut most of it, and he was doing his regular thing.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be upset with me saying this, it was like his regular thing, which sounded great, but I just said, I think this song deserves a written solo. I think you should go home and, because he's really good at writing solos. I mean, he's good at writing anything, but
his
it was just like,
so strong.
So I just said, why don't you, and he kind of looked at me and he went, have you got something? And I went, yeah, maybe. And he said, okay, so what I did is I had that solo in my head already.
Right.
But I had one take, and that was at the first take. So I was like, I knew it was in E, so I think it's in E, maybe it's in D, can't remember. Anyway, it was, so I pictured it on the fretboard as I was singing it as well.
Right.
And then I played it. And then the last bit is improvised, is me just going, rah, 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 rah,
sure.
All that stuff. But the actual main melody of the front was supposed to be, in my head, was brass.
Amazing.
And that's how it goes. But you see, those things, because it wasn't guitar-y, I wasn't thinking about the guitar, I was thinking about the song. I played that and he just went, oh, that's it. So we had a couple of other goes, but the first one had the right vibe to it. I think.
So we had Stephen on a few weeks ago, who you've also worked with in the studio.
Stephen Wilson.
Yeah.
And he was saying, we're talking about Guthrie, who is a master and can just do everything. And I was like, when you're recording with such brilliant musicians like that, what's the key to getting the most out of them? And he says, you've got to get the first, at most the second take, while they're still searching and just, they're not...
Well, I've got a theory about that, but yes, you're right. First or second take, or take 60.
Okay.
Take 50, take 60. Not everybody will agree with me on this, but you've got to get that initial, because you're excited when you're playing it. After take 3 or 4, the whole thing, it's like a box of chocolates. The first 2 are great. The third one's like, and you just carry on eating.
But by
them anyway.
the 60th one, they're awesome
No,
again.
that would be the next day. That would be probably the next day. No, but what you've got to do is kind of, because you might compose something over a certain period of takes. So what happens is that then you go to dinner or you have a sandwich or you go and have coffee. You forget all about it, and then you come back, and then it's in your ear, which is what I say. So when I'm working with Noel on things like that, I've got to have all these things in my ear as soon as,
Right.
just ideas, so that I don't sit down and kind of go, oh, what's the chords? I've got to know what the chords are. So as it's been played, I'm going, let's C, that's A minor, that's F, that's G, that's C, okay, blah, blah, blah. Always dominant seventh chord, or diminished chord, well, or whatever it may be, but I just got to try and get it. And I might be picking up a guitar if my ear's not taking me there. You know, well, what's he playing now? What's that inversion? While he's in there doing it,
Right.
you know, so that I have my chord chart in my head before he comes back in,
Sure.
because he's not going to wait for me to.
It is worth saying that apologies for the blushes in advance, Paul, but Paul is one of those guitar players who has done the work.
It really has.
So
Some of my favourite gigs I've
can
ever
we say
seen.
that you were in Niger? Are we allowed to say that live on the telly?
Yeah, with Dave Arch
Too late. With Dave Arch from Strictly Come Dancing.
and all the other great
Yeah.
players in that band.
So,
yeah.
you know, reading, knowing the stuff, I think sometimes we can be romantic about the flow of artistry and that it can just flow out. And of course it can. But I think it's also important to acknowledge the work,
Yeah.
because that helps it flow, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
a really wonderful example of the work. Go onto YouTube after this and search in Tom Jones Burning Hell
Oh, yeah.
live,
That was ace.
which is Paul Stacey, his brother Jeremy Stacey on drums, and Tom Jones. Just the three of them.
Was it Letterman or something?
Letterman.
Yeah. Live. 20.
And-
That was
What was it?
few million.
Just
Were you playing a junior on that? Do I remember you playing a junior?
it's Melody Maker, isn't it?
Do you know,
Modern Melody Maker?
I don't know what it is. It's a guitar that I got when I was working with Chris Robinson from
Right.
the Black Crows, and it's
We won't
a
bother with the
miniature.
name drop one today.
I won't. Yes, I'm name
Wear
dropping.
it out.
It's a miniature guitar,
Yeah.
and I was looking for a slide guitar, and it had Firebird pickups
Yes.
on it. And it's a 66, 67 melody, single cut and small, it's very small. It just plays great. Sounds amazing.
Yeah. The sound on that
Yeah.
was epic.
Well, it
And
was straight.
Tom,
Well, when we got
Far out, man.
to the studio, we didn't the Letterman TV studio bit. I didn't know what was going to be there. So there was a Fender Deluxe there, which I plugged into and was sort of like.
you didn't know what amp was there.
Well, I just said there's got to be an amp there, yeah, but I
Okay.
didn't know what it was going to be. But I knew this guitar is the right guitar for the job.
Sure.
So all I had to do was get something, and they had a Deluxe, but they had a Bassman out the back, one of those early 90s Bassmen with
Yeah.
the blue, those blue, what are those
speakers, you mean?
yeah, the speakers,
Jensen's? No.
they're not Jensen's. It was the other ones. They were in the original ones. They turned
Okay.
into Jensen's, but I actually like those ones the
Right.
best. Anyway, the Deluxe wasn't doing it for me, because Jeremy's pretty hard hitter, So
Yes.
I went and said, "Give me that Bassman." Got the Bassman, and so that is just that jack straight in on
Amazing.
about 4, so it's still quite clean.
Yeah.
A bit like earlier with me.
Paul brought a 1969 Laney supergroup in for us to hear,
Hello.
which doesn't suck.
No.
Yeah, which is why.
Anti-suck. It has the anti-suck.
Which is why I can't hear what you're saying any longer.
Actually, we should back up a little bit and say thank you to BV for moderating today.
Yes, BV, thank you.
I've turned the super chats off for anyone who has super chatted already. We will get through them all this evening. Whether Paul will still be with us by that time will tell.
Unlikely.
It can. Screw you guys. I'm out of here. To wit, let's take a couple super chats to kick off. Iron Wolf 1776 says an incredibly enjoyable and informative show last Friday. Keep them coming, gentlemen. No one else does anything like this.
Oh, bless you.
That's
Thank
kind
you.
of to say. Thank you. Yeah, I think even Johnny enjoyed it, to be fair.
Yeah, that was really great. That was
Yeah.
really
I haven't
great.
seen it yet, by the way. So sorry to say.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that. You're looking like,
No.
What do you mean you haven't been watching?
I was sort of surprised that you would see it at all, but
I just haven't had a chance to see it. I was
Yeah.
going to see it. Yeah,
it's good. He played loads of Smith's riffs. Somebody very kindly
he's great. He's great.
listed out all the Smith riffs. I didn't put them in the description in case we got nobbled for copyright, but
Right.
such as we are. Tor Olav Lien from Norway says, have you ever tried the Echo Brain from TC Electronic? If so, what did you think? I think it's great value for money. Thanks for a great show.
Oh, that's the, isn't that the, shall we say, wallet-friendly
Oh yeah.
version?
Some of those were they were like 29 quid at one point, or 39 quid or something.
Right.
Yeah, I think they were. Now I'm going to say something potentially sue-worthy here. I've got a feeling somebody that we know that worked for that company told us they were basically repackaged Behringer pedals after Behringer took over TC Electronic.
Okay.
Now that may or may not be true, and if we get hit by a massive lawsuit, then well, that will be interesting. But there's nothing pejorative about that, because a lot of those cost-effective Behringer pedals were flipping brilliant.
Yeah, totally.
Because they in themselves may or may not have been borrowed from certain famous other designs that have existed down the years. So yeah, they did a whole bunch of stuff in that series, and very good they were too. I think the chorus was pretty good from what I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
One thing we're all learning, and hanging around with people like Paul kind of nails it on. And you know this intuitively, right? And we've all known it ever since we first picked up guitars, was there's this sort of dip in the middle where when you get going, the gear really matters. And then at some point later, when you found a sound and you can say what you want to say, the gear really matters. All that time in the middle, it's just working out what you're trying to say, isn't it? And it matters much less, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that ever stops though. I think it's always you go through periods where the gear matters and that's like the gear doesn't matter. Oh, okay, I found something that I really dig and it's sent me on a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why, it's one of the things I love about Gilmour, David G, is that
Happy Gilmour.
Happy Gilmour. Very good. He's never stopped trying stuff. But he's got the things that he loved, but he's always trying things.
How are you about all of that, Paul? Because obviously gear does matter to you.
It does, yeah. It's a tricky one, because back in the 80s, when I was probably more active on the guitar than at any time,
right,
I only really had... I had 4 or 5 guitars, only 4 or 5 guitars, whereas now... I'm not going to tell you how many I have, but I have a lot more. Yeah. And so it was very easy to kind of like make quick, choices, and I would always use this particular, I actually had an ESP Eclipse guitar, which was like a telly, really light telly with a maple neck, but it was all blue because it was the 80s. So you could get away with that then. Whammy bar, 2 humbuckers, split coil. And it did everything. It did absolutely everything. But it sounded really, really good. I mean, it got stolen, unfortunately, along with my Strat that I learnt to play on. That got stolen as well, all at once. And I only had a D Markley amp, a DR80, RM-DR80, 80DR.
Is that like the
hybrid amp?
The hybrid amps, yeah.
And I've actually managed to find them again, and they sound great. I mean, they really, really do sound great for what they do.
Sure.
But anyway, sorry to get on with it. I've now got lots and lots of amps and lots of guitars. And actually, it's kind of annoying in a way.
Right.
I think that I was more focused on the music.
Yeah.
And this actually just gives me a lot more time to think about things about, I'd love to put this through this and everything. Whereas then it was just like, I've got a D Markley, I've got some Boss pedals. That was all I had, Boss pedals.
Yeah.
And this thing, and it worked. And everything that I recorded on at that time, everybody liked the sound, everybody was into the sound, I was into the sound.
Right.
So it was really simple then. Now I go, shall I take the high one? Shall I have the Fender Deluxe for that broken up sound? Or I need the Jaguar. I need the Rickenbacker. I need the Dan Electro. I need the baritone guitar. Yeah, that's the verse. Yeah, exactly. And then this chorus, and then that flanger, and then this thing. And I mean, but that's production, from production, that's helped me because I can go, I think it's got to be the electric messages. No, it's got to be the MXR. No, it's got to be this. Let's try this, and this with this combination. Yeah, it's fun. But it takes a long time, and when you get to my age, there isn't much time left. You better hurry up and get on with it. Get on with the music is basically it. So, but I keep having to tell that to myself as well, because I'm just, I can go on and on.
Jack Griffiths is on. He says, "Evening, gents. Paul, that's a hell of a jacket."
Oh, thank you.
Lovely.
Somebody gave it to me. I can't afford one like this. It's actually a really posh jacket.
It's very
Very
nice.
nice.
It's a nice cut.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I thought I'd clean my act up a
Yeah.
bit.
You're looking very svelte.
What's that? What's that mean?
You're looking good.
Oh, cheers.
Jerome Verbeek is on, and he says, "Gents, I'm in dire need of some colour sound power boosting. Biblical tones to be had. Which remakes are currently in EU stores today? Love for all you do."
Can I say?
Yeah.
True Fi.
This is.
Okay. Yeah. So.
Teddy.
Yeah.
Teddy. Our man Teddy
like
is.
Teddy.
And can I say also, even though I've been. Do you mind, or shall I just shut up?
No. I'm hiding my eyes so it focuses on the pedal.
Oh, okay. Because that one, there's the choice between the 18 and the 9 volts,
I think
and
that's
they
a
both
9,
sound. That's right. Now, my theory on this is that the 9 volt in the studio is the one that I use, but on stage. Recently, I've been enjoying the 18 volt, so you should have both. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Teddy will love me for saying that, but hello, Teddy. Hope you're all right.
He's done such a great job.
But I think his pedals are I mean, I really think all his pedals.
We have numerous. We have numerous of his stuff.
I've got a big muff of his, and I've got an original 72. They call it the lady face, as it's known as well, because it's the purple thing on it. It's the only big muff I've heard that sounds identical is Teddy's.
It's Teddy's. So the brand is Trufi.
Yeah.
Whether they have European distribution or whether you need to buy direct from Teddy and have it imported and pay the pedals aren't crazy expensive in the first place.
$100.
I mean,
they're
boutique, boutique prices, but they're not like stupid boutique prices.
Totally.
The other thing we would say, and I don't know what the EU availability is like, but go straight to source. Look at the solar sound options as well.
Yeah.
Solar Sound still commission various makers to do non-pedal board friendly.
Pretty cool looking as well.
It looks awesome.
Thanks.
This kind of thing. I forget who made this one. Who made this one?
I think that was made.
Is it Castledane?
Yeah, it could be Castledane.
And I have to say, I mean, he was involved around the original, I think.
Right.
Well, certainly, and yeah.
So the downside of this one is it doesn't have a master volume on it. Now, if you've got to use Tom Bukovac's vernacular, giant balls, and you're into big manly guitar sounds, to make other sexist comments, and you can get away with this, but it is phenomenally rociously loud, like insanely loud.
Yeah.
Which is okay if you're putting it into a 100-watt supergroup, because it's probably already overdriving a bit, so you can really, really push the volume, and it will go into lovely saturation and overdrive. Having the master volume helps a bit if you're using a...
I don't know how you can do it without, I have to say. I've got one without master volume at home, and it's brutal. I just find, it's great, again, if you got 2 high watt 100 watts on stage, but when are you allowed one even? You know what I mean? And you'll get something from it. You'll love it. It's a great sound, but it's such a boost.
Yeah.
It's
awesome thing. 20
dB or something.
The other one on my board at the moment, I've got the
throwback.
The throwback, which is just fantastic. I love it.
The throwback as well.
If Mr. and Mrs. still existed, we should be on it. Do you remember the old game show, Mr. and Mrs.?
I'm afraid I do.
Where they come on and there's Mr. and Mrs.
Right.
Back in the days when there were two genders. And we're all about it tonight, people. We're all about it tonight. Yeah, but that wouldn't wash to these days, would it? You'd have trouble doing Mr. and Mrs. now, probably.
Sure.
Anyway, so Mr. would sit there with headphones on, and Mrs. would be asked a bunch of questions, and then vice versa.
Oh, we know it. We'd absolutely. I mean,
well,
you'd get.
You wouldn't get any of mine.
No, not at all. But you'd more than make up for it.
Whit Anderson, hello Whit.
Hey, woo.
Greetings from New Jersey. I love the Johnny Marr Show. Can you articulate what it was like to be in the room and hearing him play all those iconic riffs. It was powerful just hearing and seeing it in a video. Much love from Woo. Hello, Woo. I don't know if you can. It's a bit like trying to explain guitar tone. There aren't the bit of your brain that's responsible for language can't really convey the feeling. But yeah, it was pretty mad, wasn't it?
When he picked up the Ricky and played the that
Yeah.
That was-
I'm trying to think what song it is, but
and then went into this Chowie Man,
yeah.
you know. These songs that I've heard so much. Now, I was in Australia. I was sort of, into the rock thing. But all the girls I fancied were into the Smiths and the Cure and stuff. And so that music in high school was everywhere. And as soon as I heard him play that, now I've heard these songs played 1,000 times in 1,000 different cover bands. And I'm like, I know that song. When he played it, I was straight back
Yeah.
to 1988 or
Yeah.
87. It was like that sound and the power of that music is just him and in his hands. It was astonishing.
Yeah, because I think I say it at one point in the video. Something like this Charming Man is pretty tricky to play, but you could learn it quite quickly and you could play it, and none of it is technically challenging to play, and yet put over with that intent in the time and the place, the cultural picture at the time. That's where it has its power, and you can't explain that.
And also because he was actually using the guitars that he used to record
Yeah.
play those songs on.
Yeah.
And we had that experience with Noel when we did the interview with him. He brought out the rig
Yeah.
from the first album,
Yeah.
and he started playing Cigarettes and Alcohol, and Mick and I were like, it was just
It was eerie.
speechless.
It was
Yes.
eerie because it was the sound.
It was the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's we're very lucky boys to be able to experience that stuff and then ask him questions about it. I mean,
Yeah. We did
Amazing.
actually, at the end of the day, Johnny was interested in hearing some other stuff, or at least we got a message that he was, and he didn't really realise that he was, but I walked in with a pedal board and he's like, what's in there? And he was genuinely, he wanted to know, it wasn't like, great, let's get it done and please go. It was, what's in the pedal, what's in the board? I want to hear everything that's on that board. And we
Yeah.
plugged it in, got him going wet dry and everything. Didn't record it because it was it wasn't really what the day was about, but he just grew wings and
it was incredible.
started playing.
Yeah, and
Just amazing. Sorry to tell that story without being able to show it to you, but I think because the red light's off, it's not for public consumption. It's more people just hanging out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was properly magic.
And he is so into it.
Yeah.
He genuinely has a deep passion
Yeah.
for that stuff, and it's really wonderful. And him and Rich as well, his tech, his mate that's been looking after him for a long time.
You must know Rich, do you, Rich Henry?
Yeah.
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 Of course.
That was
Yeah.
it was a magic day, a really magic day.
Yeah, it was. And thanks for asking, Whit, and we're really pleased everyone enjoyed the show. It was a very different pace from the Noel show, because Noel sort of came out all guns blazing, and and Johnny's much more subdued, and a different
He's dead cool.
different personality. And but some of those stories were just magic.
Yeah, amazing. And
Totally
the book
magic.
is beautiful.
Michael Giliberto, hi Michael.
Hi,
He says,
Michael.
great session with Johnny. His play the delay comment and how he uses the effect inspired me to create a new preset in my Halo. Also cool that Johnny used Halo as the description. Love to all.
Yeah.
Is he using the halo?
No, but he called it.
He
He said it's
used
like
it.
a halo.
Oh, he used the name. Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Joe Halliday. Halliday. Sorry, Joe. It's Joe Halliday. I'm still getting to grips with my contact lenses. Hello, Sailor. He says, at the risk of sounding sycophantic, what an episode on Friday. My two favourite guitar personalities with a true legend. I was thinking,
Oh, thank
hang on
you,
a minute,
mate.
who's that then? Nothing will beat Noel, especially for someone born in 1985, but damn, that was close. Thank you.
Thank you, bud.
Glad you enjoyed it, mate. Joe makes nice pedals.
He makes very, very
Hello,
nice
Sailor
pedals.
effects.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it makes really best treble booster we've ever heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Outrageous.
Oh, you told me about this.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the
Range mastery type.
but with some with a transformer in there as well, so there's kind of a couple of different options in there, and works
And you can
post buffer
put
and stuff.
you can
It's
put bottom
amazing.
end if you want it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Matt
beautiful.
McGrath, hello Matt. Matt says, I watched an old
Yeah.
episode about EQ pedals yesterday. Dan mentioned it can be at the end of the chain to tune to the room. Any tips? Just looking for a slight change when moving the dial. Right, okay, so EQ pedal, obviously we know about shaping EQ further down the chain, but what about using it as the last pedal in your chain just to finally get everything in the right place for different rooms? How do we feel about that?
Yeah. So, again, one thing that Paul told me years ago that I've
Oh God.
no, well, what you said to me, I've never forgotten. You said when you're doing the EQ stuff, make tiny changes. Start with making very small changes, and because it doesn't take a lot. What you're trying to do, I remember when I was doing the walkabout circuit in London, every room had a sound, and I would have certain amps that would sound better in different rooms. And I got to a point where I knew exactly what amps to take for which gig. But some rooms are boomy, some rooms are small and tight, needs a bit more bottom end. Having the EQ at the end just gives you flexibility to be able to say, okay, I want this to be a bit fatter, or I want it to be a bit brighter. But I think especially at volume, is where that stuff's going to make a massive difference. So what I would say is you can't. It's sound check where you're going to be playing at your gig level, where you'll know what you need to do, and then just make small changes and see if it helps.
But before he gives us some actual wisdom on it, I would say don't worry about it. Get a sound that you're happy with, and that makes you happy playing. Because once you're 25 yards down the room, if the room's that big, everything changes anyway. So you can't really be the arbiter of what happens.
Yeah.
No, and you also, you're doing your sound check, and then the audience come in, and then it's completely different.
Yeah,
So you've always got these things going on. I mean, with EQ anyway, I would try and say try and get the guitar and the amp as close dialed in as much as you can before anything, and then there's been situations. I mean, again, music dependent. Whether you need to shave off the bottom end because there's too many things doing around that area. Clouding it up.
I think bottom end in guitar playing is just a massive discussion on its own.
Well, you want that sound if you're a three-piece, like if you were playing in Led Zeppelin, or you're playing in Free or one of those bands, then you've got all that room to have that bottom end, and you need it. So you need 4x12s, 2 or 3 or whatever. But as soon as you're playing with 2 or 3 guitar players, or like if you were doing James Brown or something like that, then you've got to have.
Or if you played in the Black Crowes or something like that.
Well, the Black Crowes, that's.
Paul played with Black Crowes for years.
Well, for a year I was in the band, sort of in playing lead guitar for a bit,
But you produced how many of their albums?
3.
3 albums.
Yeah.
Which ones?
Warpaint, something, The Frost. I can't remember.
And that other one.
Jack Frost, the Black Crowes Christmas album.
Beyond, sorry, it's just it has been 12 years, and then the Croology as well, which is the last one. But
you can Wikipedia it.
Yeah, but that was again different thing, because that's volume. That's to do with playing with volume. So, you're playing with 150 watts.
Yeah, you are.
Behind you.
Yeah.
And once you've done that, I mean,
How do you go back from that?
Well, you just don't want to. It's fun, you know. So, I mean, that's the whole thing. I don't understand. I mean, I understand that people will, like, if I played that thing in front of a lot of jazz musicians, they just go, that's just horrendous, too loud, it hurts, But I just go, I want that and a bit more, personally, because that's what I did when I was a kid. That's why I wanted to play.
Yeah.
Electric guitar is not,
totally.
was never meant to be, was it meant to be quiet? Was it meant to be
Well, no.
toned down? And
they spent the first 20 years trying to make the amps bigger and louder. Didn't they? That was the whole, that was the whole thing. I also think there is the tendency these days, because of the low volume situation and because of all the boxes we have to play with, it's like start small and build your tone up and add and tweak and don't get us wrong, Dan and I are flipping purveyors of that way of doing things and guilty, if that's the right word, of it. That's what we do. You start, you build, you add a bit of this, you add a bit of that, you make it this thing, and then you get into meticulously shaping it. What Paul's talking about is great guitar, great amp, get it happening. Yeah. And then everything else you use is a shape.
Colour. Yeah.
So you might choose this booster because it does carve out a bit of bottom end, or you might use this because it really adds a bit of sizzle when you need to punch through and all that. And so the choices you're making then aren't necessarily about these huge step changes in tone. It's we just need to bend it a bit. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, it's just get the overall sound right, for whatever you're doing, to start with. And then the pedals are just adding and subtracting, things, modulation, a little bit of wobble here, a bit of this there, just to change it for the, the chorus, maybe the chorus when I'm not saying chorus, I'm saying the chorus. You want something to spread a little bit or whatever. But I mean, you do it naturally. It's like you don't have to think about it too much. You just go, it's a bit of delay, bit of whatever. And then if there's a singer, you got to go, I suppose I better keep it quiet for this bit, And as soon as they're off, it's like, turn it up and crank it up. Add another amp or two or whatever. That's what I like to do. But I get into trouble with volume quite a bit. But I will actually, if don't get me into the sound guy thing and everything, because I've just done sound and for Kurt, and it's like, I just think it's rubbish. I think it's actually, you've got to have the sound coming from the stage, and that's all there is. I don't believe in the quiet stage thing. Full stop. We'll talk about that another time.
That's it. Yeah.
I just don't. I haven't heard a great gig that's quiet stage. Not one have I heard that's any good. Not one.
Oh, either has Tom.
And I tell you what. And when I hear one, I'll change my mind and go, okay, so now somebody's got it together. It's possible. Yeah. I just don't think it's right. And also, the musicians have to be enjoying and comfortable on stage because they play better, and once they play better,
it's
the
a better
sound
for everyone.
Then the sound is better. That's it. The sound can only be good if everybody's enjoying playing.
Yeah.
With these in-ear things, I just say, if people like it, great. That's great. I don't like it at all.
Matt, I'll just finish off by saying that some amps also have like a on an AC30, for example, you'll find a control called cut. And the more you turn it around to the right, the bassier the amp gets. And that can be like a global EQ shaper. Similarly, my Two Rocks have a switch called Contour, which goes from sort of more mid and treble focused to more bass focused. And that is doing the same job, really. And if you imagine an EQ curve, if you call up an EQ in your DAW, you're essentially just shifting the whole main EQ curve left or right to do that. And a graphic equalizer might be overkill in that situation. But you might also discover that certain rooms really soak up. Where was I? I played venue in Southampton just recently, the 1865, and it is dead. It's a big venue, but it's dead sounding. So you wind on a bit more treble.
Yeah.
Somewhere else, we did the Cheese and Grain before that. This is with Ainsley, and that's like absolutely wide open bright, so less brightness. But again, I would reiterate what I said earlier. Get the sound that you're happy with playing and that makes you happy, and let the engineer worry about it, I would say. But
what about standing waves in rooms? Do you ever use EQ to sort that out?
I'm just not that clever.
No, me neither.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean, I'd just be baffling, pointing things in different directions so that it's not bouncing. I mean, always check the walls, just... Yeah. I mean, that's why when you go into a restaurant and they've forgotten to think about that, and they've got all hard walls, and you're trying to talk to somebody and you can't hear anything because everybody's going, and it's bouncing all around, and you just go...
It's that polished concrete wall.
Just a bit of carpet here or some curtains or some sort of just to take that reflection off would be very welcome indeed.
Strange Days. Hello, Strange. I'm digging my P90 SG Special currently. There is a lack of quality P90 love out there. Would you gents be so kind as to add more, please?
Add more P90 love?
Yeah.
The best recording, one of the best recording pickups there is, I think. I just think it's for recording. I think it's one of the best pickups ever.
The best recorded tones I've ever got are with this guitar.
We say it every week almost. It is a remarkable guitar. That remarkable.
61.
Ooh,
Yeah.
can I feel it?
Yeah.
To be fair though, my bog standard Korean Epiphone Casino, replace the P90s in that with some Lollas. Sounds great. There you go.
Lovely.
Isn't that killer?
Beautiful.
This is a bonkers guitar. It's a
That's
bonkers
very
guitar.
nice.
We hear you,
Great,
Strange, and
great,
we'll
great.
try and bring that in. I've got a couple of P90 guitars. Dan's got at least one or two.
I've got
One. Yeah, I've got two. I've got the Casino, and I've also got... Actually, no, I've got a PRS McCarty with some nice P90s in it.
I got a P90 in the neck of the Huber, but yeah, this is the machine.
And a Collins 290 DCS, which is a really
That's
great guitar,
amazing.
but it sort of sounds like 80% of that,
Which is,
unfortunately.
and my Les
Which
Paul
always
sounds
makes
like
me-
80% of yours.
Makes me a bit sad when I pull it out, as it were.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a lovely guitar, but it's not that. It's not that. Sean Jeremilatos.
Hello, Sean.
Jeremilatos. I'll say it again, say it every week, repeat it just to make sure that I get it wrong twice. Congrats on the fantastic interview. Johnny was a great guest and your insights brought the conversation to another level. Gear question. Any issues in splitting the Kingsley Maiden to multiple power amps? No, as long as you've got something good to do the split.
Yeah.
So Humdinger that Dan makes, True, oh God, loads of people do an ABY switch,
Yeah,
but get Dan's because they're better.
that's very kind.
Actually, Humdinger, the new, all the Humdingers, but the new Humdinger especially is a great way to do it. If you don't want to switch amps on and off and you want something small and inobtrusive, and it's a good way to, if your question is sort of saying, do you lose any signal or power by splitting it? No, that's, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so one of the issues with some preamps is their output impedance isn't very low. If you think of the preamp and an amplifier, it's designed to cover that much distance between the preamp and the phase inverter and the power section. It doesn't have to drive a lot of cable, a lot of capacitance. But when you send that to your pedal board, a lot of the times the preamps struggle because they're not designed with a really low output impedance, so they don't drive the cable capacitance.
All the problems with flipping effects loops.
Yeah. But one of the great things about the way that Simon Jarrett designs his pedals is that they're amazing preamps, but they're still designed as pedals to work into the front of the amplifier as well, to work into to hit the front of the power amplifier. So the output impedances on them are nice and low. Yeah, they're magic.
I've got one. I've already got one.
It does sound nice. It actually sounds pretty good just as a straight
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
without even doing the preamp thing. As long as you don't push the output too much.
And
But
of course the page, of course, which we still
we love the page.
Yeah.
love the page.
Yep.
Nice one, Simon.
Hopefully that helps, Sean. Hopefully that clarifies that. Eagle Ray Rob, it's lovely to hear you
Hey,
as
mate.
always. He says the Jester version 3, also Kingsley, got me thinking. I spent yesterday running my 1940s and early 50s low wattage tweed amps into the Iron Man 2, which is a Tone King attenuator. Then a line out effects return to 100 watt 6L6 and EL34 amps and 212 cabs. Big love. Yeah, man.
Awesome.
So you're essentially making the little thing big.
Did he say 1940 basement?
Would be a late 40s tweed type amp.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. How cool.
Amazing.
How cool. They were obviously developed for Hawaiian steel guitars, weren't they? I guess lap steels, those early amps.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I guess there were pickups in things. When was the Charlie Christian pickup? When did that happen? Was that late 30s or was it after that?
No idea. Let's say then.
Yeah,
I think it's later than that.
Later
I
than
think
that.
so, yeah.
40s
But
maybe.
there's accordions as well. We're going through amps, weren't
Oh
there?
yes, of course.
Yeah, because they had accordion inputs, didn't
Yeah.
That's why I said it. Not
Yeah.
because I knew, but I just remember accordion. Something came up.
But they had a mic input as well, so just
Mic
little
input.
PA
So
systems.
people would,
they?
just
Yeah.
Do the umpa, what's it called? A polka, the polka tunes with the little polka, 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 polka.
I was thinking of two things. I was thinking of like Cajun music, which I guess I don't know the history of it. But then I was thinking of Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli
Right.
yeah.
with some dude playing an accordion into a Tweed Deluxe, which probably didn't happen.
No, because then you'd say, why isn't Django in that Tweed Deluxe? Because I want to hear him even more.
It'd be a great series of videos, wouldn't it? Reinventing music history.
Now there's a guy who didn't need any gear.
No.
My goodness, the sound
No.
he made. My goodness.
Or even a full
Yeah, they didn't
digits.
even fingers.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
rocked up and play itself.
Have you ever played one of those Selmas?
Yeah, I mean, I just
You
don't
to
know
make
how.
it sound like you've got to play that thing so. It's like a completely different technique.
Yeah.
And I've tried. It's
Apparently, Sean Tubbs is across that.
Oh yeah, his
Gypsy
gypsy
jazz
jazz
thing.
stuff is
Yeah, and John
serious.
Jorgensen, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty decent at it.
Yeah.
and there's a guy. I've got to say this. There's a guy in England. No, that I know. I
There was
just
a guy
can't
called
think of his
Stellenbosch, was there, or someone
guy
like
from
that?
Liverpool.
Did you hear Mark Johnson's gypsy jazz album?
I haven't heard the album, but I know Mark, and I
It's
heard him play. I
amazing.
mean, yeah, I knew
It's
he can do
amazing.
that stuff. Yeah,
So a friend of ours, actually, it was Mark that introduced me to you
years
like,
ago.
2004, and
Oh dear.
Mark's an amazing session player, and he was telling me about this gypsy jazz thing that he was doing, and I'm like, how did you get the sound so close? And he says, well, and he showed me a picture of Django. He said, now look at how he's holding the guitar, and he would study how he holds himself and go to that effort,
Yeah.
and it's like, and the sound is completely different.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think if you stick on the little moustache too, you get that extra little bit of damping at 700 hertz.
Yeah.
Steady.
Doug Tolley says, afternoon. Afternoon, says Doug Tolley. Apologies if this is a stupid question. Doug, there are no stupid questions, only the ones you don't ask.
Yeah.
But some pedals run on 18 volts, as it's supposed to give the pedal more headroom. Is this the case? And if so, why don't all pedals do it?
So, no, not necessarily the case at all, actually. If the pedal is regulated at the input, then it makes no difference by the time the voltage gets to the circuit. However, some pedals, so if you imagine that you've got, let's say, 0 to 9, it's never 0 to 9, it's generally a lot smaller than that by the time the voltage gets to the, where you're making the sound. But let's say that your capacitors and the way it's designed, it can take a larger voltage. That's great. What that means is you can gain the pedal up a lot more until it clips. The thing to remember though is that's not always what you want.
Exactly that.
If like a person that designs an overdrive pedal that is designed to clip that signal, and depending on how it's biased and where that signal is clipping the rails, if you give it loads more headroom, then you've got to give it loads more input gain for that signal to become big enough to clip the, to make it limit. Then you've got to tame the output, otherwise the output will be so loud. And that's one of the things with the color driver, the original one. When you turn it up, you get that absolutely majestic overdrive sound, but because it has so much headroom, and it's so loud, by the time you've got it overdriving, man, it is slamming the front of the amplifier.
Yeah.
So the 18 volt thing can be really cool, but don't get bogged down. Don't be thinking that the 18 volt thing is going to make your pedal sound better.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it doesn't.
And it's not about better and worse, it's about application.
Exactly
What
that.
do you want it to do? So if you like this really crapping out, this is a Hudson broadcast, right? There it is sounding angry. And if it's got a fuzzy side, and if you really want it crapping out and doing that broken up thing, then you want to run it at 9 volts. If you want it to have the most clean headroom possible and be a lovely clean boost and do that thing, then run it at 24. So it's and it does make a difference, exactly as you say, in some pedals. In some pedals that are designed to sound different when you add different voltages. But as Dan says, some are just regulated straight at the input. So if you plug in 18 and it can take 18, it actually won't sound any different, because by the time it's all sorted out inside, it's the same. But yeah, so to reiterate what Dan says, more headroom can be a good thing if that's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's sometimes with compressor pedals that can take 18 volts, it turns the compressor pedal into a slight boost EQ and stops compressing at all, because you've got so much more headroom that the thing refuses to limit anymore.
Doesn't
now
squash.
That can be cool, but it's not necessarily what you're after. It just all depends on the circuit. Don't get bogged down on it. Plug it in if it sounds great. I remember I used to use the full drive too, my blue one, a lot. Not the I didn't get on with the there's 2 versions, wasn't there?
There was
the
a MOSFET one.
I didn't like the
which
MOSFET
was orange.
one. Yeah.
And the regular one that was blue.
Yeah. So I had the regular one, which I loved, and there was a comp cut setting on it, which was really nice. I tried it at 18 volts and I just thought it was awful.
Too much.
Just too much. But at 9 into the AC30 at a certain thing, it was just perfect.
Yeah. So as always, understand that it does make a difference. Whether that difference is something that you want is really where you have to get your hands dirty and experience it.
Yep.
So that's why not all pedals have it. Different gaming studio gear.
Yes.
Need a bit of headroom in studio gear, don't we?
Oh yeah. Yes, and sometimes, again, drums. Some people want loads of headroom on their mic preset. I don't know. I kind of like it to be a bit lower, so that there's, I don't want to say crunch.
Yeah.
There's something that happens with. So
Harmonics,
you don't. So harmonics, definitely. Yes. So you don't want to use. I don't want to hear too much compression on drums, to be honest.
Yeah.
If the drummer's good, that is.
Yeah, right.
If the drummer's no good, then obviously you got to do whatever you got to do. But but I don't know. I don't know about headroom on mic pre's too much, actually. I like the older gear, which there's enough.
Yeah.
Is maybe what I'd say.
But it would be plugged into the wall, not into a power adapter this big.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And the power, actually, you were saying earlier about amps, at gigs. That's the other thing, is every gig you go to is, what power have you got? And the older amps, what I think great sounding amps, vary so much dependent on power.
Yeah, totally. That's coming in the wall.
I've got an old orange amp that just, in one place sounded terrible and in another place sounded amazing.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, but that is not so much with new gear. I don't think that happens so much. So I'll shut up.
Robert Lewis says, after all the years of you boys talking about him, Paul seems to be just like the person I imagined him to be.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Appreciate all of the great work that he's done.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thanks.
There's quite a bit of it I didn't even know about. So Paul turns up earlier, plays me this Tal Wilkenfeld record.
A couple of videos are up on YouTube. Yeah.
Shows me the video of the record, and it's like, oh, that's Blake Mills playing the guitar.
Mm-hmm. Did you not know about that album?
No.
Matt, it's amazing. That was on high
It's
rotation for me over
really
lockdown.
great
It's a while ago,
incredible.
Yeah.
but yes.
Well,
What I love about that album is her vocal.
yeah, and I think Paul sort of alluded to it. Tal is associated with a certain style and maybe playing with certain artists, and I assumed it would be that, which is not really my thing.
Yeah.
But it's, my goodness me,
Well, yeah.
it's not that at all.
The songs on it are just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
But to watch Blake doing his thing there on his strange guitar, it was quite the treat.
How do you wrangle all those musicians? You get in a room and you've got 5 musicians, each with really strong personalities.
Yeah.
How do you point?
I think I know the answer to
But
this.
how do you point them in the same direction?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is I just keep focusing on the music and the song, and then I have to go in there and occasionally, say what I have to say, which maybe won't go down very well, but that's the job, you know. You just have to go in and sometimes you go as you're just trying not to ruin it. I mean, that's the main thing, is I'm just trying to go in there and not ruin the vibe, because you're going, I don't think this is going the right way. Or, yeah, I mean, with these people, I mean, but sometimes it's going really well, but it's still, you feel like there has to be something said to either wrangle it, make it, so they're a bit more annoyed maybe, and they'll play differently. They're a bit more annoyed.
Have you ever tried to make someone angry to get a different sound?
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome.
No, I totally believe in mental states. Yes, that's part of the production job, is to make somebody at ease when you know they're nervous, or make somebody pay attention.
Okay.
You know, like pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever it may be. Yeah. But if you ask me what it is, I just don't know. It's in the moment, and I go, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? I don't know what to say. Okay, I know what to say. Boom, and do
away
it.
you go.
You know,
That's
and then
fantastic.
hope that you don't ruin it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
You have the
But
musician's Hippocratic oath: do no harm.
just make sure you got musicians that I mean, casting well is the most important thing. It's just making sure you cast people that are the right people.
I think when I hear players like Tom Bukovac, who, you know, we're all massive fans of,
Great.
you could stick him anywhere, and what would come out would be gold, because everything that
Unless it wasn't what you wanted.
Yeah, but he's just so musical.
Yeah.
That, you know, and so sensitive to that stuff, that I think the reason that players like him get all the work, you know, or are so extremely busy, is that people know that, okay, he's such a safe pair of hands, you know, and what's going to come out is going to be extraordinary.
But that's the casting job, like you say, Paul. That's the casting director or the producer's job, or whoever's job it is to put these people in the same room.
Well, of course, he's in Nashville with a group of people, because it's the group of people that you know, there's groups of people in London that I could think of that you put these guys together, because you put those guys together, then it's going to come out like this, which is right for this project. Yeah. But for another project, you might go, you know, I want it to sound really loose and really, you know, there's going to be, you know, well, all the records I do, I don't often have click tracks going or anything like that, which is considered insane, you know, but I think I like it better without the click track, especially with the people I use, because they're all really good with their time, you know.
Sure.
But it's sometimes you want it to sound, I mean, you're not going to get sorry, I don't want to say session guys. You're not going to, it's certain guys making it sound like the Rolling Stones.
Sure.
You know, that's the bit that I go, how do you do that?
Yeah,
you know, where it's slightly out of tune. Certainly not in time to a grid or anything like that, or, you know, and that's that magic thing that band has.
Vibe. Yeah.
We'll have a whole talk about that sometime, because there's a funny one about that I was talking about with a friend of ours.
Yes.
One time, which was funny. Which was funny.
Sean Gerard Lamatos also says, I forgot to mention I get to see Greg Koch tonight in a cosy venue across the lake in Burlington, Vermont. Ariel Posen next month. I'm a lucky boy.
Oh, awesome.
Ariel.
Yeah. And Greg's, I mean, you will laugh, cry, run the full gamut of emotions watching Greg play live. He's totally brilliant. Ariel is in a very special place at the moment.
I reached out to him last week just to say hi, and you know, there's some footage of him doing this gig in LA.
The Crossroads, wasn't it? Was it Crossroads?
No, this was like 2 days ago. He's just posted some footage.
He's channeling at the moment.
He really is. He is so
something
on
is flowing through him.
Yeah.
In the most musical of ways.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
So I hope you enjoy that.
If you get the chance to go and see Ariel play live, it'll be a gig that you won't forget. I tell the story a lot, but we turned up to Swindon to play, and I don't know, the promoter had forgotten someone was turning up, and there was like 12 people there. So he won a stage, and he just got all 12 people to come right to the front of the stage, and he played one of the best gigs I've ever seen, and it was so moving. And he performed for every single person in that room and just played his heart out. I'll never forget it. It's incredible.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in a good place. Shawnee is Cubs fan 1. Shawnee is Cubs fan 1. Hello, Shawnee. He says, good morning from Chicago. I've got a question for Dan about his 52 reissue telly named Butters. Is it named after the South Park character?
No, it was no, it was named after butterscotch.
Yeah, because
So
that's what colour it is.
Yeah, so I just called it Butters. I wish it was. I wish I was that clever to think of it at that point, but no, it's not.
No, it's not. Idea for a new challenge, says Jeff Harper. You are beginning players, so you need one channel amp that a beginner may have, a guitar mid-price $300 to $600, and 3 beginner pedals. Go. Yeah, we can totally do that.
Okay.
Is he calling us beginners? Sorry.
We're all beginners in the game of life.
Absolute beginners.
Sorry. So what is it? Beginners?
Yeah, it's,
Pedals.
Dan and I often do challenge videos where we have a set bunch of criteria, and he's saying, imagine you're a beginner player. You've got to have one channel amp, one mid-price guitar, $300 to $600, and 3 beginner pedals. Go. Yeah, we should do that.
Yep. Okay.
We should do that. It's interesting though, isn't it?
I thought we were going to do it now.
Oh yeah, all right. Then.
no,
Great. Let's do it. Perfect. Okay.
Who's starting?
You are.
You do amps first.
All right.
Pro Junior.
There you go.
Oh yeah, nice.
Fender Pro Junior. If you're not aware, 2 EL84s, 15 watts, probably 10-inch speaker.
Loud enough for your first gig, maybe.
So and I'm going to agree with you. I think your take on this is, and Dan, I know Dan will as well, is get serious from day one.
Oh yeah. Don't waste
don't
waste
muck
money on.
about.
Yeah, don't waste money.
No.
Don't go and buy cheap stuff. I mean, if you can find something cheap that you're going to live with for a while, great. But
The biggest mistake I think for me, my biggest mistake when I was looking for something cheap was looking for something that did 1,000 different things.
oh yeah.
And I would find things that did 1,000 different things, and they did them all.
It's taken me 40 years to learn this.
Yeah. So my amp would be a new AC15, just the new one.
Yep. I'm with you on the Pro Junior. Something like that.
Good friends now.
Or
It's all in the past. What happens?
any simple small valve amp. And I know that causes issues because then it's about you can't play loud. So it might be more sensible to suggest something that you can use at home. But I, not that controversially, think that you can get lulled into such a state of false security, false sense of security if you're sat there and everything sounds amazing and produced and you've got this really fat gain sound and all Eddie Van Halen's delays in your headphones and you can shred eruption really well. I absolutely guarantee get into a rehearsal room with a Marshall and you will fall over. It won't work because it just won't come out. So it also depends what if you have a goal in mind. Do you want to play out with friends? Do you want to play in a band? Do you want to do that? If the answer to that is no, then for sure immerse yourself into the massive sound and have at it. But I think if you do want to go out and make any sort of meaningful noise with other humans, it's good to start hard.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the amp is the place to start.
Yeah.
Even more, I mean, you don't want to get a guitar that's going to stifle you, but a great guitar plugged into a really crap amplifier is going to sound crap.
What guitar then?
300 to 600 pounds, is that right?
Yeah, or dollars. I'll just come straight in with a Squier Classic Vibe anything. Strat, Telly.
Yeah.
Or whatever Epiphone Les Paul Junior you can get for that sort of money.
I'm going to come in and say an Eastman.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. Probably the 335 Eastman. 335-ish. I don't know. What do you say?
I don't know if they go down that low.
That's the only thing. Isn't it?
Yeah, because some of them are a couple of grand now.
Really?
Yeah, for the good ones. Yeah. So I don't know if they go quite that low. They might.
Okay.
They might.
Okay, but then I would say is it the
Ibanez Art Core.
No. The Vantage 335 was a vintage. There was a Who makes them? I get the
It's vintage. It's the JHS brand.
The JHS brand.
Not Josh Scott. but
John Hornby Skews.
John Hornby Skews and Co.
And there's a brand called Vintage, and I've played a couple of their 335 things, and they are fantastic. So I would grab
Really
one
good.
of those.
So you go vintage, Squire Classic vibe, and I'm going to add to that
Come
Ibanez.
on.
I'm just looking at these
Hardcore.
prices because I haven't looked for ages just to see. But Tokai
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
was very good. They. I mean, if you can find some old stuff, even though I expect that will be more pricey, but the Tokai stuff is pretty good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, Tokai is an interesting example because what Paul is remembering and what I can remember, there was a time where the Fujigen made Tokais, I think they were, or somewhere, it's a decent reputable factory. Japanese Tokais were every bit the match for what Fender was doing. Since then, there's a lot of other production in other factories elsewhere, and they are a bit more cost effective, which is not to say they're bad, but then they're probably not the guitars that we were remembering.
Sure.
No, because there's a Squire JV series, wasn't there?
Yeah.
82, which I mean, like Alan Murphy was using at the time and stuff like that. I mean, they were just considered as good as anything. But I think Tokais were made in the same factory, to be honest.
Right.
I think it was so. I think I might be.
Yeah, it could be Fujigen.
But I mean, but even now, I've tried a couple of Tokais and they're gone for beginning.
Yeah,
I mean, I would still go push a bit further if you can get something that you really like, whatever you do.
It's hard. It's hard when you're a beginner because you don't necessarily have knowledge about
what's good and what's not.
Buying stuff, because the best way to buy it definitely is used, right? So on Reverb, if you've got a friend who knows a bit about guitars, and that isn't that guy who thinks he knows a bit about guitars, it's someone who does actually know a little bit about guitars, then buying used is great because you can always sell it again, especially if you buy a reputable brand. And that can often be the sort of cul-de-sac of very cheap gear, is that you buy it and then what the hell do you do with it then? Maybe you give it to someone when you're older, but the resale value on that stuff is generally pretty poor.
Yeah.
So
I mean, certainly on a guitar, you definitely want to go as high as you can
Yeah.
with something, because if resale, exactly what you just said.
pedals.
So pedals for me, I'm going to go, I need a delay, I need a flanger, and I need an overdrive. So I would, overdrive pedal, I would get probably a BB preamp. They're quite cost effective, I think.
Couple hundred.
Oh, okay. That's not cost effective at all, is it?
No.
Okay then. Let's go for an OCD.
A couple of hundred.
Really?
Yeah, 300. They don't even make it anymore.
Oh, brilliant.
You're looking at Joyo, you're looking at Landlord Effects, you're looking at the brand that Anderson's does.
Okay.
Oh.
So that's
Moya,
where we're at.
Moa,
Okay.
Moa.
Yeah, Moa.
Okay, so Elect Lady by Moore
Yeah.
would be my flanger. I would say,
You can get into Boss for 50 or 60 quid with overdrives.
okay, can I get a blues driver?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
get a
might be
blues.
100 quid the blues driver.
Okay, blues driver, and the delay is going to be. What was the Gibbs?
great. The Fender Space Delay.
Great, over that.
That was good.
Oh no, I'll get the
TC Electronic
No.
Flashback Mini is excellent.
what's the green one that everyone uses?
The Carbon Copy.
Carbon copy.
200 quid.
Oh, far out, man. Are they really?
I think so. Maybe they're not quite that.
What?
I've got an idea. Sorry.
Go on
Okay.
then.
Well, I would get definitely the Crazy Tube Circuit Sidekick.
Oh yeah, okay.
Have you tried that?
Yeah.
Yes,
You like it?
it's very good.
It does everything.
But
And it does
they're-
everything, but they're not. But the junior one is 250 something quid or something like that. And if you put three Moyas together of chorus, flange, a really good delay, and a really good reverb, which I actually think it really is.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
that's what I use on my board still.
Right. And what about a gain stage? You get
Gain
one.
stage, I get one because that's custom too, is it? Would
Yes.
you say? Okay, and it's also nice and compact. All right, gain stage,
Into your Pro Junior.
Moa Cruncher.
Nice. Very
A what,
nice.
sorry?
A Moor
Moor
Cruncher.
Cruncher.
Oh, okay.
I think that's like a. You can turn that into a few things.
Yeah,
but I
it's
actually
really
use that's
good.
actually on my board, and I use it for one thing in one of the bands I do, where it's a generic sound,
But it's a good
but
sound.
it's a good generic
yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right.
There you go. Loads of suggestions. James Blessed is saying Silver Sky SE. Yep, there's deals on those for $5.99 at the moment.
Wow.
Just about, which is pretty good.
Can
Yeah.
I just say one thing about what you just said, because I think it's really important, is that try not to get a processing device that gives you a compressed, like you were saying, it seems to give you the Eddie Van Halen, whatever you might think sound very, excuse me.
Sorry,
It's, it gives you, if you practice with a sound that's very compressed, and like we used to, in the old days, we used to have a Zoom box that we used to plug a headphones in. And I realised very quickly that if I practiced with that, it was giving me so much and hiding so much. So practice with the cleanest sound if you can, and practice the dynamics in your hand. You've got to stay with the dynamics. That was just for that guy who was saying about beginning. Don't fall into the trap of having a super compressed sound, because I think it will hurt you in the end. You know,
especially once you get.
I mean, do it on stage with the overdriven sound, but if you got it in your hands with the or on an acoustic even.
Yeah, I don't use anything at home. If I'm learning stuff, I don't use anything. I just have the guitar not plugged in to learn the bits, and then
I didn't even use guitar. I sit there like this.
Just zen
Let's
it.
go.
Yeah, no, and then when it comes a bit closer and I've got the parts, then I plug in loud and get it going. I have this fear of playing at low volume because it ruins my loud playing, which might be rubbish. But...
No, I think you're right. No, that's what I mean. Is I think the trouble is with playing quiet, and then sort of like tickling the guitar because you don't want to wake anybody up, or you know what I mean. Or, that's actually is counterproductive. I think you've got to play hard and loud. You've got to be able to play really hard and really soft. So that's it.
Bit of housekeeping before I forget. Active patrons, you will have received an email regarding this. The Andy Wood.
I used to have a load of sound effect devices here, but I don't have any.
I can't even get it to focus.
I had a Casio. That's because it's focusing on my eyes, mate.
Okay, there we go.
I can't see anything anymore anyway.
The Andy Wood gearbox, signed by Andy. Beautiful human. So if you're an active patron, as of today, you will have received this, an email.
Yeah, do what it says in the email if you're an active patron. We're having a bit of a laugh with Patreon at the moment. They've changed the way some things work, so please bear with us while we iron some of that out. We are in talks with them trying to figure it out. It's taking a minute, so
our people are talking to their people.
We hope nobody notices a disruption of service. Yes. Okay. But Jeff, thank you for the question. Dan and I will do that for real. They're always good for hateful comments, those videos. Why didn't you choose this? Dan Atfield. Dan, thank you for your incredible generosity, mate. That's very kind of you. He says, afternoon, leg ends. Had such a blast a few weeks ago. A blast. At the September Experience Day, of course.
Brilliant.
Hello, Dan. Sorry, yes. Thank you so much for your warmth, generosity, and phenomenal knowledge. P.S. I'm still not overhearing Dan's Les Paul Jr. Into the Matchless. Get out of town. Yeah, I know. It's quite the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It is quite the thing. Thank you for joining us, Dan, and thank you for your generosity, mate. That's really kind.
Yeah.
Carl Longbottom's on. He says, "How are the lads? I turned 50 the other week, and
happy birthday, buddy!
Treated myself to an Emprise Helmsley head, which is basically a black panel Princeton, valve-driven bias trem and reverb. Yeah, that sounds pretty serious. I do think Marcus Reeves has one of those, doesn't he? An Emprise. He ordered one. Yeah, I think so. But correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus, if you're on tonight. Yes. Live, direct from hell. Spaniel tap, says Angus McLennan. Yeah. I was in hell the other day. Where was that? Sports Direct. Have you ever been to Sports Direct?
No.
Big sports shop?
I've been to similar things.
I had to buy some stuff for idiotic sporting endeavours. And, man, that's an interesting place.
Yep.
Yeah. It's literally like hell on earth.
Really?
But there are a lot
Yeah.
of people in there.
Tremendous amount of flammable clothing.
Yeah, right. So much polyester.
Yeah. But very keen pricing, and I'm very happy with their keen pricing.
Very good.
Not actually flammable, by the way. It was just a joke.
Is it like the sports person version of TK Maxx?
Comedic. Now, TK Maxx is a whole other thing. I could move into TK Maxx. I like TK Maxx for the randomness of it.
Yes. So we got a message about the boots we were wearing.
Yeah.
For the Johnny interview. Someone says, "Oh, can I ask you what boots you're wearing?" I said, "Do you mean mine or Mick's?" And I said, "No, yours." I said, "Oh, it's just a random purchase at TK Maxx many years ago." And because they don't have two pairs of the same shoes. It's like, that's it. If it fits, you're very lucky. If not, find something else.
It's always an adventure as TK Maxx. Yeah, Sports Direct, that was a new experience for me. And,
This is what we do. We digress and we tangent.
And a lot
Tangent
of
talk.
Yeah.
about
attentive,
shoes.
committed, interested and motivated staff as well.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Anyway, I did get some nice running shoes and some flammable clothing. Audiophil Society. Hello, Audiophil. He says, "Hi, Mick and Dan. I finally have a free Monday evening. Thanks for your awesome and inspiring content. What would you recommend for a simple and payable stereo rig? Do you mean playable? Cheers, love, and peace."
Simple stereo rig.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's an orange stereo amplifier that, if what you want is really simple, playing at home, mono send stereo return. So get your stereo delay, put it in the loop, and you've got this really simple, beautiful stereo thing.
Yeah.
But if what you want is a rig you can actually go out there and play some stereo gigs with, it would be a different answer. But that's a really simple, lovely way to get some fat tones. Or just do a wet dry thing with a couple of katanas.
I mean, just use. Quite a lot of us are in that position where you had an amp that you had, and then you got another amp, and you didn't get rid of the first amp. So start there.
Yeah.
And just use the two amps you've got, match them up for sound as close as you can, and run stereo into the two. You'll need something to split the sound into stereo, so that might be a stereo delay or stereo reverb pedal. Could be could be any kind of thing. But you will obviously need some kind of pedal that's going to do stereo. If you don't have that, then you can't really go stereo. What Dan and I would probably suggest is easier, more predictable, and more fun is to do wet dry. So you send the wet effects to one amp and not the other, and it's a really cool way to do it. And you'd swear it was stereo if you heard it. And then you could use
just one affected and one drive.
Yeah.
So send all the
gain stages.
That's my favourite.
overdrives to both
It's
amps.
amazing, right?
I actually think that's the best one. Yeah.
We do too.
We're a fan of that. If you're going out and doing a gig where you're allowed to take two amps,
Yeah.
is that how you would do it, or would you just?
I just
slam
take two amps
everything?
anyway, whether I'm allowed or not. I'm sorry. But it will be, one's a bit big one, and sort of like for headroom, and one's for middle and not so much headroom. So it'd be like like a Pro Junior. Sometimes I'll just have a Pro Junior with a high watt, 50 watt rig, you know what I mean, just for focus. But I will then maybe I'll affect the little one, maybe I'll affect the big one, but one of them will probably stay dry, probably.
Nice. There you go.
That's what I'm.
Horse's
When
mouth.
Dan gets my G3 rack thing together, then you will see.
The world will see.
The world will see, because then I'll probably have two amps and still the one speaker that I bring in, especially for soloing and stuff. You just want that focus there. A 10 or a 12 or 15 watts. You don't necessarily actually have to. It doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be focused.
So it's specifically for the EQ that it's giving you, is it?
The mid-range, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because the thing is, I don't know if you know this, but when you agree with this, as both of you, but let's say you're setting up one sound and you've got the headroom, you've got the top, you've got the bottom, but as soon as you start trying to get the middle a little bit more mid or a little bit less, that will mess with that whole thing that you've got. So once I've got a sort of, let's say it's a Marshall 50 watt or a high watt 50 watt or whatever set, then adding this thing in is just how much I add in. And then when I'm playing, I just sometimes leave it on anyway.
Yeah.
It just gives me a focus. I mean, I think, God rest his soul, Jeff Beck used to do that as well. He used to have little amps as well. Maybe not so much at the last thing I saw him at. He had a couple of Marshalls facing the other way and forward and that. But I know guys who do that concept, and in the studio is to have a full range amp and a small amp that's starting to break up already.
Phil X does it, doesn't he, on the
Phil
Bon Jovi
X has
gig?
got a little Greer 5 watt.
And is it kind of an extension of what Brian May was doing with the D key?
I think so, yeah. So it's really interesting. So Phil will talk about, he's got his signature Friedman thing, like fire breathing. Actually, it's not fire breathing, it's like a vintage plexi.
Yeah.
And because Phil is so dynamic, he gets all the gain from his right hand. And then he sticks this little, 10-inch, I don't even know if it's a 10-inch thing, the Greer thing. It might be an 8-inch speaker.
That's all,
and
the
sound guy goes, well, what are you going to do with that? He says, okay, I'll turn it off and plays the thing. Friedman sounds great. Now adds it in. Sound guy's like, whoa. And it's like every time it's like
focus.
It's just exactly that.
Yeah.
And it's set up gain, it's set up differently so that it pops those frequencies. Yeah, it's brilliant.
But that's what I think. I'm right in saying I think Ronnie Wood was doing that in the studio as well.
Oh, wow.
And I think Keith was doing that in the studio as well. Is that they'd have the V2 or the VT40
the Ampeg
star thing, then there may be a champ or something on as well, something like a champ, and that was where I got the idea from. A long time ago, and I started to do it. And as soon as I started doing it, I went, "Oh, it's
the thing.
It works good."
Yeah. So sorry, back to the original question. No, it's fine because it is fascinating. We the point of saying all of that was that we'd probably steer down a wet-dry route rather than straight into stereo, because stereo brings with it some complications. One is you've always got to be stereo. So if you've only got one heart, if you for whatever reason can only do one thing, one amp, then you've lost half your sound. With wet-dry, you can just have the wet amp if that's what you want and dial back the effects a bit and add the dry for the oomph if you want. Failing that, if it's at home and it's low volume, there's plenty of desktop type amplifiers, Yamaha THRs. In fact, I think there's even a stereo THR, isn't there?
The THR is, THR10 is a little stereo desktop amplifier, which is awesome.
Yeah. Or just two tiny things, you could even have fun with two of those little, I don't even know what you call them, but like those little micro amps that are that big from Fender, and they all do one, don't they? It's basically a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, right.
And you could have two of those and feed your stereo delay into both of those. That would totally work. You wouldn't be able to do that in a band situation or whatever, but that could be an easy way in.
Yeah.
But yeah, any two amps, just dial them up so they sound as close as you can get them in terms of gain and volume and EQ, and bang a stereo delay into them and enjoy the width, as it were.
Indeed.
Play till it hurts. Dan, has it been a while since you bought a pedal?
No.
When was the last pedal you bought?
So what did I buy? I bought something.
What was the last pedal you bought, Paul?
The last one I bought is it the Juggler? I haven't got it yet.
Oh, from Simon.
Simon, is it the Juggler? Is that the one that's the one that you were talking to me about? Yeah, I've actually just got that. I haven't actually got it in my
Juggler
got yours
V3.
in my hand, but the one I'm after is it's here, but I haven't had a chance to go and pick it up yet.
Oh, I see.
And I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
Apparently, no. I mean, I've heard the demos, and I know Simon well, and he's great. And I like, as you know, I use the Page. I've been using the Page for a very long time now.
What was yours, Dan? Can you remember?
I think the last one that I bought was the David Barber.
Oh yeah, the tone press.
The tone press, which is
This is
awesome.
the Kingsley pedal that that Paul was talking about, Juggler version 3, which is like a Dumbly type valve preamp.
What's the last one you bought then?
It's this, and it arrived today.
Oh yes, I heard it. Yeah, actually, that is sounding.
That's really good.
That does sound really good. Yeah. In fact,
I like all their stuff. I really do.
in fact, can you just get me one for free?
I bought this. I bought this from Hot Rocks at full retail. It's funny, you know. Dan and I do get sent stuff for free, as any viewer of this will know. And there's certain stuff that we use and we love, and we get it.
But you had.
I tend to have a different relationship with stuff I actually buy at full market rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So old guitars and other stuff. There are exceptions, but I wanted to buy this.
Right.
Because Landau is an absolute hero of mine. Jake Loosemore came in last week and he brought one up and we plugged it in. Because as regular viewers of the show will know, I've got the Analog Man SD9 modded, but just could never really make it work. No. And we should talk about Scott Henderson in this conversation as well. Jake brought this in, I plugged it in, I'm like...
That's incredible.
Yeah, even you liked it.
Well, I liked it because as you've got this low mid thing there, which is the all important thing, and if there's not enough or it thins out, I don't like it. And it's got, as you say, it's got more low end than the original. And when I turned that thing down, the gain down, it started to sound amp-like, which is I kind of always wanted to feel amp-like if possible.
So I'm quite pleased with that, and we'll see if it makes it onto the pedal board. It's insanely expensive for an overdrive pedal, but
is it?
That's all right.
Yeah. The stuff is, but it's really good.
Yeah.
I was again talking to Jake about it. You know, if an overdrive pedal costs a lot of money and you use it all the time, it's good value. If it costs not much money and you never use it, it's rubbish value.
Of course.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Simon Jarrett is on. He says, "Hi guys.
Hi Simon.
Hope all is well. Paul, sorry I just missed you in the UK. Did you grab your juggler from my brother Russ yet?"
No, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll sort it out soon. Thanks, Simon.
Yeah.
Speak soon.
We love Simon.
Yeah.
Groovy. Gareth's on. He says, "Good evening, chaps. Hope you have all analog tonight."
Yeah.
Hope you are all analog tonight. Paul and I. Paul came in and he looked at your EQs, Gareth, and he's like, What's that?" And for what it's worth, mate, I definitely in the honeymoon period at the moment, but I think I'm hearing a palpable difference.
Yeah.
Gareth's lent us some other recording gear. And,
I knew they were APIs. I did know. I did say that to you.
You did.
I said APIs.
You literally. That's the first thing you noticed when you walked in. And I'm noticing a palpable. I have this romantic. Because I'm not experienced like Paul and Gareth, you know, I have a romantic notion that this lovely analog front end gear is going to sound great. So in order to test that, you have to borrow some or get your hands on some and actually try it and test it and listen. And that's not in the context of I'm going to make a YouTube video about does this 1073 sound like a 1073 plugin. It's not that. It's about using it over an extended period of time and then going back to the old stuff and seeing, you know, allowing yourself to go through the honeymoon period and then going, actually, do I notice a difference?
Yeah.
Yes. Do I like the difference? A qualified yes. I like it for this. I like it less for that.
Yeah.
I like it. And that is just what you've been doing for the last...
Well, it's like amps
years,
as well.
isn't it?
You know, is that especially if you spent $3,000 on one, you go, I kind of make yourself like it, don't you?
Yeah, 'cause there's
but
that
then
period
sometimes
of time,
afterwards
isn't
you go back and hear something that cost you 150 quid and go, I can't believe it. It sounds better. And that's it. It's just getting yourself straight with what sounds good.
Yeah. And one of the hypotheses I have about this stuff is it makes everything easier. So you can just get a good sound. Who was it who said? Andy Wood? Let's fix it in pre.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Exactly.
Let's make it good from the outset. And
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. So I think I'm hearing a palpable difference.
That's so true.
We'll see, and the journey continues, which I'll text you about. Gareth says, Paul, apparently you shared a bandmate in Tim Garland. True story.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Tim Garland.
Whenever that was.
Terrific saxophone player.
Was he who you were on Top of the Pops with?
No. Top of the Pops.
Didn't you do Top of the Pops once?
I've done it, yeah, but not with Tim Garland.
Okay. No.
Tim Garland's the jazz saxophone player, but it was in Chick Corea's band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he's...
Well, Gareth pulled out the be-all and end-all of bandmates. We're at his studio at Metropolis. This is it's a picture of my first band, and he shows us. And on bass, Paul McCartney. It's like, yeah, okay. It's not a competition, but you win.
Brian Carpenter. He says, you seem to be getting along with the PRS HDRX20. Considering it's relatively affordable, is it the best value Marshall amp not named Marshall? Cheers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we keep saying we're going to get one of those Studio Vintage 20s in.
I do like those.
Latest Marshalls. Every time I hear one, I like it.
Yeah, I do like those.
The guys at Studio Rats.
One that look like... Sorry, JTM. Yeah, Noel's got one.
Has he?
Yeah. Sorry.
They seem to be pretty...
It sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds really good.
But yeah, we like the HDRX20. We quite often use it paired with something else. It's got bright switch, it's got master volume, which makes it kind of, dialable. But like all amps, it has that point where you go, there it is. Mm. And that's quite a nice place. It's quite loud.
I think the reason that I like it is that it feels to me like it hasn't been designed to be a quiet amp sat at home in your bedroom. It feels like a proper amp that you turn up and stuff happens. Yeah. It's not designed to sound good on 0.5 in a music store.
No. But it does. It's got a decent amount of headroom and into a decent sized cab if you want to run it quietly and run your pedals into it. Yeah.
I think they've done a really great job.
It's
called Marshall what?
Sorry. We're talking about the PRS HDRX 20.
Oh, sorry.
But the Marshall we were talking about is the Studio Vintage 20.
Yeah, sorry, wasn't understanding what you were saying then, and now I do. Sorry, carry on,
that
please.
Often happens, mate. The words come out before the...
No, I got into the Marshall thing, and I was going... What
Paul's got Marshall?
Yes.
68.
67.
How?
Plexi.
Didn't you go to France to get one recently?
Yes.
Is that not...
You don't say anything.
You don't have to answer this.
Yes.
Yeah. How many Marshalls do you currently have in operation? And I'm only asking this because...
Well, are you going to include the ones that are not called Marshall, like Park and CMI?
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Old, though.
Yeah.
I think I've got about 12 then.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's healthy. That's just those.
For somebody who's not much of a Marshall user,
that's pretty.
It's pretty insane. But I've got some old, the original Plexi. I've got a couple of 67 Plexis. I've got a 50 watt and a 100 watt, and the 100 watt is probably the best amp I own.
Wow.
Probably the best sounding amp. But if you take it anywhere, I mean, you know how much it's worth. Number one, you don't want beer spilt on it, and it just, it's got such a huge, beautiful sound. People just freak out. You know. So yeah, it's a tough one, but it's the best sounding amp I own.
Is it? Oh, I haven't heard it. I want to hear it.
Yeah, I'll bring it up one day.
Yeah.
But I mean,
awesome.
these sound great. These Laneys sound great.
They do.
You know?
They do.
And the high watts.
And the high, of course, the high
and
watts.
various other
things. Yeah, we'd recommend it, Brian. We would recommend the HDRX 20. Yeah, if you're minded to it. I always think it's quite interesting with amps like that. Amps that don't have reverb. So I grew up on reverb. I can't. If I've only got one amp, it's got to have reverb. But there's plenty of other people that don't need that. So, it's not essential to your sound, is it? Reverb.
Well, it depends. Yeah, but I mean, when I'm doing, yeah, if you're doing the rock thing, no, I mean, I like a little bit actually. I like reverb, but some of my favourite records doesn't. There's none on there.
Right.
Know. Like, I mean, that Zal Clemenson fella.
Oh,
the sound he gets. I mean, he actually, but he uses there's room sounds on his.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of room sounds on a few of his things, but I mean, he's just.
I was at
He's just ridiculous. I mean,
years ago, I was at Andy Partridge's place, and because we'd been talking about Zal, and Andy's talking about his favourite guitar players, and he says, "Check this out," and he puts on a live tape of Zal Clemenson doing his thing. I was like, you can see, and
for the sake of the group, who is Zal Clemenson?
He's in the Sensational X Harvey band. Well, obviously was. They're kind of they were over in the 80s, early 80s. He's the guy who wore the makeup, you know, and it's sort of like Marcel Marceau kind of thing. And he was playing an SG, mainly with P90s through a Marshall. The sound is amazing, but the thing is the way he plays. I mean, you could sit down and figure it out relatively quickly, but you certainly couldn't think of it, you know, because it would be very hard to get it right because he bends a certain way, he overbends, and he pulls and he pushes, but there's just something about what he does. It's again the character and the tone that he gets. It's very, very, very naughty.
Yes, sorry, it wasn't Zal. It was Ollie Halsall.
Ollie Halsall. Ollie Halsall. That's a different thing altogether. Yeah, Ollie Halsall's Pato.
Yes,
and that's amazing, and that's a trinity of players like John McLaughlin, Alan Holdsworth, and Ollie Halsall all lived very close to each other. You know,
really?
Yeah, they were
something
in
the water.
I'm not going to be accurate probably with this. I know Alan was Bradford, and John was. I can't remember which bit, but Yorkshire
all in the
area.
Okay.
And then Ollie might have been Leeds. I don't know, something like that. But in that vicinity, and there's something in the water there because they're all different, completely different. But Ollie Halsall,
awesome.
Yeah.
Super chat for Super Chap, says Chris Gibbs. Hi Chris, nice to hear from you. He says, I'm buying a new pedal board, likely a Schmidt array. What's your advice to future-proof the connection configurations? I'm going out to 1 amp or wet dry or via a Walrus Audio Canvas.
Okay.
Schmidt does well, there's a couple of things you can do. You can get the 6-jack junction box, which is TRS connections in and out. So you can do anything you like in and out of those. They work fine mono, but they're also TRS if you need that. So you can configure all kinds of things like effects loops or separate amp outs or whatever. And it's all very neat and tidy because you can do it there in the box. Martin also does blanks on the other side for if you need an XLR out, which has got good metal panel with screws so you can screw the XLR connector to it, and there's various options. The good news is it's all modular, so if you need to change it in the future you would probably be able to do that.
They're good.
It's those pedal boards that we've got.
Yes, they do an array of pedal boards.
the array of Schmidt array.
Yes,
very good.
There goes the space delay. I've got one of the panels here somewhere because I took mine
I didn't know that they do, because I do have one, a small one. But I didn't know that they would actually do some extra business, change things.
Flepper Mazee says, well, Paul Stacey, wish I'd made it earlier. I have an old bootleg of Paul, Jeremy, Pat Pedersen, Alex Lewis, 30 odd years ago.
Oh my goodness.
What a monster player, even back then. We are not worthy. Kudos.
My goodness, what gig was that? That would have been, I don't know, that would have been, I suppose, 91 or something, I suppose. Yeah. Wow, I'd like to hear that. Can you digitally sort of put it onto an MP4 for me? Would you mind? Only because it would be very interesting to find out what the hell I was doing back then. I mean, only interesting. It's not really much I can do about it now, but.
So that's the patch bay there on the side.
That's the patch bay, which lives inside, which you can see there. Sorry about this. Really sorry about this. The slight spatial awareness issue. And then on this side,
there's nothing in there. But on the other side, there's a little guy.
who's this little guy?
Who's this?
I've actually taken my little XLR thingy out there so I can place my power supply and get it in through the hole.
Nice.
Which would mean it would float for slightly less long than.
It's a lovely
There's a
colour
hole in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sort of army green.
Yeah, very
The
nice.
colour that I like. So yeah, and then these panels you can screw various things in or out, and Martin can tell you all about that.
Nice.
And of course, I've taken the flipping panel out, and I don't know where it is.
Can I have one of those bags?
Yeah.
A pedal show bag.
Yeah, check it
Take
out.
with me.
Well, thank you for mentioning that, Paul.
Let's
'cause
take
these
it
are
to
available
shopping.
at
Like take it shopping with me.
At pedal show store.com
When I go to-
if you want to buy such a thing. We shall merch you up.
When I go to
Yeah. This'll look-
Waitrose or something.
I think
you
this
could
will look good on you
Thank you.
with your jacket. There's also some free,
What's with the jacket?
I think there's some free bubble wrap in there as well, isn't there? Also, it comes in this colourway as well, which is slightly more aggressive. Oh, these are some Jam Pedals t-shirts.
Oh,
They always send us loads of t-shirts, some of which we wear and some of which we give away on experience days.
Yes.
well, I like their pedals. I've got some of their pedals. I've got that.
They're good people.
Very good. Yeah, brilliant.
Todd Roy says, Paul, were you with the Crows during the time of Jimmy Page jamming with them and eventually wanting to record an album with them?
No,
No.
I was. I mean, he
You
was.
were on stage when. You just remember seeing a picture of you and Jimmy?
No, I was at the side of the stage at the show he was at when he sat in.
Didn't he borrow your guitar?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris was playing. Actually, asked me to bring the Les Paul, so I had my Les Paul Sunburst Les Paul, and so Chris had that, and then I was standing at the side of the stage with Jimmy, a couple of other people, and then suddenly Chris came over with my guitar, and I went, "Oh, great! I'm gonna sit in," and he gave it to Jimmy, and I was like, "What? What's it? No, I wasn't. Of course, I was just like, of course. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
James Bless says the SA balls look so good, but they're blooming expensive. They are. Funnily enough, we had Jack in last week. Jack Griffiths down the pedal board for him, and he's gone with the Alder and Ash. And I think there are definitely upsides to the Alder and Ash approach. I think they're slightly more robust. They're slightly more affordable. And when I say robust, I mean if you're going to be throwing it in the back of a van. The Schmitz are great. They do come in their own case, and they do come in you can option a carry bag. That used to be yours.
It did.
It did.
So Schmidt isn't the only game in town. We do like them. They're very lightweight. They are beautiful. And if you tend to do most of your gigs in the back of a car, as we do, perfectly tour worthy.
My goodness.
You'd want to put it in a flight case if you were touring properly.
Just to play this and. Why did I sell this to you?
I know. It was a moment of weakness. So the story was, you were looking to offload some guitars, right? Because you had you called me and you said you called me and you said, are you looking for a Les Paul? I said, yes, I've been looking for a long time. And you said, I've got a bunch here that I'm just not playing. Come down and check them out. And I went down. You maybe had 4 or 5 there. And I played them all. I'm like, yeah, they're really nice. But then there was a case in the corner. And I said, what's in there? And you said, oh, you wouldn't be interested. And then you opened it up and I saw that. And the minute I saw it, it's like, please be good, please be good, please be good. And it was epic. And I said, would you sell this one? And you said, oh, okay, then go on then. But you hadn't planned on selling it.
No. Yeah.
It's an amazing guitar.
Yeah. What a fool. No. I'm glad you got it. I'm glad it went to a good home.
It's in the family. It's staying in the family.
Gies van de Esmerite says, no question, thanks for all your knowledge. Well, that's very kind, Gies.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for your generosity, mate. That's super kind of you. Thank you.
Sorry. That's doing. Yeah, that's me pretending to be Paul Kossoff.
I thought I was gonna say it was like I didn't. You know when a proper guitar plays something, you're like a proper guitar player plays something, you're like, wow, that sounds, and they're like, stop.
I try not to do the who do you do thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yes, but that's the one I can't resist something. Oh shit, that wasn't very good. Excuse me. See, I can't do it now.
I've just ruined the session. Paul's gone home in a huff.
That's great, isn't it?
Squirrel719 says, hey guys, I finally got to see my first Crowded House show. That was in May and I'm still buzzing. What shows have you seen that you found profoundly inspiring? A Crowded House would be one for me, actually.
Yeah, that gig was astonishing. And just to throw a bit more name honkery out there, the first board I did for you was when you were playing guitar for Neil Finn on the Try Whistling This tour, I think that was.
It was actually the Finn Brothers.
The Finn Brothers, that's
where
right.
Where we played, we did 2 years out on the road with them.
Yeah.
But we were doing everything. We were doing Crowded House and Split Ends and all the solo albums. So I had to learn about 90 or 100 tunes. Whatever it was.
But that was awesome.
But it was the best. Yeah, it was
amazing.
They're amazing. I mean, they're like, it's almost like playing with jazz musicians on stage because they improvise every night. So
Wow.
you don't play the same thing every night. So you have to be on your toes, and then they'll just be looking over at you going, you coming with us? Where are we going now? Yeah.
So
Sorry.
the
that's-
reason I brought that up, which is sort of fortuitous, is
Yeah.
musically, this is up with easily one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. The day that you were playing the Royal Albert Hall was the day that Paul Hester passed away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And at sound check, like everyone's doing their thing, and then Neil gets up and plays Distant Sun. And you have all the staff at Royal Albert Hall doing their thing, right? And he starts singing, and everyone just stopped. And it was palpable. It was like, it was that moment, and the gig the gig was amazing. But that when he played that song that night, it was different. But just at sound check, it came out, had a snare and a little splash cymbal with his hat on it, which was there the whole night. And man, that moment musically is something I will never forget. It was just, everyone's in tears listening to play the song. It's just amazing.
When you've been lucky enough to see so many great performances, it's hard to nail it down. Just to say that I could be just as moved by seeing, like, we've got this little bar here in Frome called Bar Lottie, which I'm almost loath to tell anyone about because the people you get in there is crazy, including him and his brother. And Doyle Bramwell was there last week.
Yeah.
But then people that you might not necessarily have heard of, like Jason on keys,
Jason Rebello.
Yeah, Jason Rebello. And then who was there? We were dude I bought a ring modulator from. Famous piano player, played all the Adele stuff. Neil Cowley.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Neil. Yeah.
Was playing, and then a bunch of bass players.
Scott McKeown, obviously.
Scott was there.
Yep.
Yeah. Your brother's mate playing bass from Bournemouth.
Oh, Pat Davis.
Pat, man, what?
Amazing. Was with him last night, playing with him last night. Actually.
Were you?
Yeah, it's
I
amazing.
did that fanboy thing. I walked up to him and said, Pat, your tone is like perfect. It's literally perfect. And he was like, oh, thanks. and so just to say that can be, for me in those sort of close quarters, seeing great musicians play together, and it is such a treat to watch them play together. It can be just as moving as, seeing a giant band in some enormo dome, and actually more so for me, because I always find those enormo dome sound a bit disappointing.
Yeah, totally.
But
there's so much great. There's so much great stuff out there. People doing amazing things.
Playing in little places, but it's there's
the gigs at the Six.
Gigs at the Six, yeah.
Far out, man.
Yeah.
I remember you were doing your rock thing at like at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Years ago, and I took Doug down, and we were staying down, and we'd had a few pints, and you guys playing, and like you got to the end of the set and you kept going. You must have played like 10 of the same songs again, and you wouldn't have known they were the same because you guys did them completely differently, like off the cuff.
Right.
And it's like, because the 606 in London, and it's a small sort of intimate. They mainly have jazz there, but when you guys were there, it's like.
Well, we played jazz there for many years, but I mean, we were suddenly allowed to do the rock thing there, and I wanted to try it out. Playing really loud, and with my friend John Hogg on vocals, who's just
John Hogg,
just unbelievable.
Oh my goodness!
And it's just criminal that he's not even known better than he is. He's just, I mean.
And what a guitar player!
Great guitar player, great bass player, great
singer, man, amazing.
Just super talented guy.
Lots of good stuff going on.
I think they can work on different levels as well. I'll never forget seeing Iron Maiden at Wembley Arena. I mean, that's like being hit around the head with rock, which is awesome. And then contrast that with seeing James Taylor, Landau, Jimmy Johnson, Larry Goldings, Steve Gadd, and the backing singers. Apologies, I don't know their names. As just this unbelievable hi-fi, harmonic, sonorous experience, like the opposite of Iron Maiden. And they both hit you just as hard in different places.
Yeah, beautiful. Love it.
So it's a great thing. It's a good thing when it happens, if it's loud.
I saw Judas Priest in 1978 when they were still a hard rock band rather than before it just gone into the British Steel record had come out.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really loud. It was actually like. I mean, that's the thing that I used to do is go to those gigs, and just before they come on stage, there'd be some guys like flicking the Marshall sort of standbys off, and there would be 4 or 5 Marshalls on just on the guitar front, so it's hundreds of watts, and it would be kind of like that sort of like, oh my goodness, nuclear reactor kind of like. Is this gonna kill me? Kind of thing, and it would kill you, but it was just so exciting and so amazing.
Yeah,
and it wasn't PA based, sort of like tweeters screeching your ears, and that it had this full sort of like gut, hitting in the gut sound vibe, and it doesn't happen very often. It happened at Roger Waters' concert about 3 months ago. I was lucky enough to be got into somehow, but anyway, the sound of that gig was
amazing. Quite
simply the best sounding gig, and that, by the way, was not controlled. There are amps on the stage, as you know, and our friend Dave Kilminster and the rest of the band, the sound of that gig was so much better than the gig that I went to a few weeks later with a very well named artist who just had no sound on stage at all.
Right.
And in-ears and all that stuff, and I was just going...
Sad face.
Yes. Anyway,
Zachary,
I keep going on about it, don't I?
Well, I think somebody has got to keep going on about it, because the other 85% of the world is saying this is what's happening, deal with it, and it's like no.
Well, they're saying it's better. It isn't. It doesn't sound better. So.
Yeah.
Good day, D&M, says Zachary Allen. Just a quick update on my Wacko Wah. The good folks at Jam arranged for me to send it in for repair. It's back home and working beautifully. Thank you to Ilias, Alex, and the Jam team. Good.
Very good.
Pleased to hear that.
They're good eggs.
They are good eggs. It's also a great wah-wah pedal. Yeah, it's good.
Film music.
It's like a TV show, like on Friends, where in between the scenes.
Yeah, incidental music.
So, anyway.
And then you've got to leave it hanging on like a really non-resolved chord.
Okay, like that. Oh. Sorry, that's an Alan Holdsworth chord. It's not gonna bode well for A lot of people. I'll do something else. Oh, God. This is probably why I sold this guitar. I can't play it. That neck is too big for me.
Legs, says Andreas Johansson. Hi, Andreas. He says, can the trem block, talking about a strap presumably, affect tuning stability? Shouldn't do. Once it's blocked off, it should be fairly there, or thereabouts. So the idea is you put a block of wood in between the back of the trem block and the cavity in the guitar. In here.
Let me put this down. I don't want to hurt it.
So you put a piece of wood in here, which stops this from moving that way,
Pick up this one.
and means that it can't move. And that's how Mr. Clapton had it for a while.
Was Blackie like that?
Hmm?
Was Blackie done like that?
I believe so,
Okay.
but I don't actually know. Do you know?
I don't know.
No. And then the idea is it can't move, and so no matter how much tension you put on the strings, it won't move, and it turns into a hardtail basically. Can it affect tuning stability? If it's all in there and locked off, it shouldn't really. No more than anything else that is not able to move on the guitar. So give it a try. Depends what kind of wood you use. Now there's a debate.
Yeah.
If you use balsa, it'll probably compress over time, but if you use like a really nice piece of mahogany, less so.
Balsa, do you know balsa's a hardwood?
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not. It's very soft, but it's classified as a hardwood.
I need to put the guitar down now.
Isn't that nice?
Here, let me put this down. It's very nice.
It's a great guitar.
Good colour.
Yeah, give it a go, Andres. Let us know how you get on. Yeah. Gargantua, Jason. Hello, mate. Nice
Hi,
to see you.
Jason.
Jason came to see us at an experience day. He says, the humdinger has arrived to marry a Magnatone panoramic with a Cali Tweed. Two great tastes that go great together. Nice. Hope
Lovely.
you enjoy that.
Lovely. Thank you, buddy.
Speaking of taste, did you ever open the bottle of bourbon I bought you in January? We haven't.
We haven't.
It's sat on the desk in there. We're waiting for a special occasion. There it is.
Bourbon?
Yeah, it's very.
Oh.
It's really good. Weller bourbon. It's
Is
like
It's amazing.
Pricey?
Pricey. UPS driver walked in and he's like, "What's that?"
Oh.
And then every day he walks in, he's like, "Are you not going to drink that?"
I think we should try it now, don't you?
I couldn't. I couldn't possibly.
Why?
Well, I've got to drive.
Well, so have I.
Yeah.
Let's get hammered.
Oh, I suppose
Okay. Well,
police will be outside soon.
We did persuade Paul to come in to do a show proper, playing, and we'll talk to him and do a bit of a general chat about lots of things. So I think that's the day.
Oh, yeah, let's do it then.
Okay.
What, from the beginning?
That
will get it going.
3-day filming session.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll do it then, Jason. We will honour that event with a nip of the Weller. We talked about waiting until we got to 500,000 subscribers, but that might be the end of time. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right, there you go. That's a date.
Okay, great.
Well, it's not actually a date, but it is going to happen, and that's when we'll do it, Jason. So
Sounds good.
Yes, but yeah, unless the UPS driver doesn't find a new home for it sooner. He was literally like head flick, double take, Scooby-Doo eyes. Joe Halliday again. Hi, Joe. He says, Dan Atfield hit the nail on the head with regard to Dan's Les Paul Jr. I wake up thinking about that tone. Reminiscent of my 1960 Melody Maker, but more so.
Yeah. No, it's a very special thing. So story behind this is rehearsing with Tin Spirits, and every week Dave would bring along another guitar. And like this happened over 10 years, every week, another guitar.
Yeah. How long have you had this, by the way?
Oh, I want to say 15 years.
I have seen it before.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
And one day he brings in this Junior, and I thought, it's got a single P90. What's the use of that thing? And I plug it in, and through his rig, and I played solidly for 40 minutes in complete awe of this guitar. And I didn't have any money at the time. I said, can you please help me find a good one? I don't know what I'm looking for. He said, okay, I'll help you. He found this on eBay, and I got the maximum headroom in my credit cards piled together was £2,000. This guy wanted £3,000 for this guitar.
Right.
And I emailed him. I said, look, I'm the maximum I've got is 2,000. Would you take 2,000 for it? I'll buy it straight away. He said, no, I need 3,000 for it. And Dave said, oh, it's a shame. It's a really good one. It's got 7 pins, 7 screws, and bumblebee.
Right.
You know, and so I watched it. I was watching the thing, and it didn't get bought.
Really?
And so I emailed him straight away. I said, look, I got $2,000. No, I'm not going to do it. The next week, it goes on for 2.5.
Ah.
Watched the auction all the way through, and it didn't sell. And I emailed him. Now, I don't know if he'd put the wrong title or misspelled Gibson or something.
But I suppose it was 15 years ago. So yeah.
And emailed him again. Said, I'm really sorry. I wish I could offer you more, but this is it. He said, okay. And he sent it. This turned up, and it's got the original, like, snakeskin paper case that it come in.
Wow.
It's astonishing. And then Dave played it, and he played next to his, and he was like, oh, this is, I should have bought it. I should have paid $3 for this and just bought it, because this is his favourite electric guitar.
Dave
Gregory, yeah. But it's an astonishing guitar.
Speak to that man soon, Dave Gregory. How is he?
He's awesome, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing
He is
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. Awesome player.
I texted him the other day and said that just want you to know Johnny Marr name-checked you on the video as one of his influences.
Oh, yeah.
I said, hi, mate, hope you're awesome. I just wanted you to know Johnny Marr name-checked you. And then he texted me back and goes, well, if Johnny Marr cites me as an influence, I must be awesome. Yeah, but no, he's
get
great.
Johnny Who ?
No, he's great.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have been so nervous about losing it. So I probably would have, after the 2, from 3 down to 2.5. I probably would have just found a way to get,
Yeah, no, but just I had.
You're lucky to get it.
So,
that was incredible.
So obviously meant to be.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Meant to be. Gordon Rankin, hi Gordon, nice to hear from you. He says thanks for the Johnny interview. It must have been really fun. It really was. It really, really was. And thank you for your generosity, Gordon. That's very kind of you. It was really fun. Things like that. A couple comments are sort of criticising me and Dan for being a bit fanboy about it, and it's like, why wouldn't you be? Why you don't have to be too cool for school when you do these things. It's like, give the guy some credit. It affected all our lives. It's really important in the history of music.
Yeah.
What's wrong with a bit of enthusiasm? Yeah. And that's the way we feel about it. It's a total trip to be in the same room as these people. It's a privilege. So
it really is.
We don't take
really,
it lightly.
Yeah,
we don't take it
absolutely. And I mean, as you know, I don't get excited often about things, but for things like that, I'm going to be, wow, it was amazing.
Dan, if I showed you this bit of pocket fluff I've got here. Actually, look at this.
That's the best pocket fluff I've ever seen.
It's an old bit of tape, a bit of tape.
Yes.
Look at that.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Hang on. If I fold it over. Oh, wow.
Hey, son, that sounds fantastic. Just play. Give us that again. Record that. You record that.
Okay.
That sounds amazing, doesn't it?
If you like that kind of thing, yeah.
Don't you know I produce the Black Rose?
No, I'm sorry. It's all got its uses.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's it. I really like that.
Yeah,
sometimes when you hear, it's usually a J45 or some kind of Gibson acoustic, and it's on like an Americana record, and you hear the pick is just so prominent in the sound. I love that sound.
And some of those really soft picks.
Yeah,
they do. You hear the clack on the strings. I've been listening to some J45s and some jumbos and stuff lately. Those old Gibsons.
Yeah, man.
Far out.
Once you've heard it, it can't be anything else.
No, it's absolutely astonishing.
Do you Oh God, no! It's too big a question. I was going to ask you about recording acoustic guitars.
Yeah.
Do you have a start point, or is it really just about
Yeah, I mean, I use it. Depends who you're doing it for and what they want.
Yeah.
I know some people who really like the older, like not bright, that kind of like middly kind of sound. So it almost doesn't sound like an acoustic in a room. I'm saying this because I have this with Noel sometimes, because he doesn't want that bright tinkly sound. You know, if you put a C12 on a guitar like that, then you'll get that sort of Bowie, like really sheeny sound. But that's been EQ'd as well, I think. And I love that sound as well. And then I love the gritty sound. So I'm not really answering the question.
No.
But dynamic sometimes, as I think I said to you earlier, is that I'm not particularly a 57 fan on guitars, particularly, but it does work.
Yeah.
And it's worked on many classic records, so it's never done it for me. But a 57 on a acoustic guitar sometimes is the ticket, you know. But also the room is the thing. Is that I mean, I've sometimes a little booth that's got almost no acoustic and it's dry. It's got this sort of almost hollow sound to it. You know, that can be the perfect thing in a track.
Ever done the over the shoulder thing, or is that cobblers?
No, I've done that. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason for that quite often is that the person playing the acoustic, if you put it near their ears, it's the same with drummers. You know, if you put stuff near their ears, then that sounds more like what they hear.
Oh yeah, okay.
If you see what I mean.
Sorry, if that wasn't very clear. You put the microphone basically over the shoulder, pointing down at the guitar.
Yeah. So that's then they come in and they hear what they're expecting to hear, if you see what I mean. But I'm out front, and I know there's some people and I do this as well. Is sometimes I actually have two microphones sometimes, which is maybe a pencil mic, you know, pointing around about the 12th fret. And
you
then
do
one,
that, don't you?
Written it enough in guitar magazines.
Yeah, there's that one, and I like that one. I use that quite often with a 67, you know, U67, because that's got more than enough top for the acoustic than I need. But for certain people, that's too much top. So then we're looking at Coles and stuff like that. The other thing is distance. Again, it works sometimes, but I actually think that distance in recording is the thing I like most. Is if it's too close, if it's in your face, everything's in your face, I just go. I rather like to space things out so that if there's something that's supposed to be prominent, then I'll mic that closer. If there's something that's supposed to be depth, give it depth of field, just pull away a little bit as far as I can before it gets wrong. And also be in the room, listening to what you're listening to, and listen and go, that's what it sounds like in here. It doesn't sound very good. Can we do something? Can we move it? We move it somewhere else into a corner, put some carpet down, put it up on a chair, whatever it may be. Do that, get it sounding good in the room. Then
fix it in pre.
Then start Then start walking in and going, okay, around about here is where it starts to sound good. Microphone there. Choose the microphone. Boom, boom, boom.
Amazing.
That's it.
But
whether that actually means anything to anybody, it's like, you know, I always put it down to cooking. You know, you can have the same ingredients. You give it to one cook, you give it to another cook, and they're saying we're doing a bolognese, whatever. Somebody else does it, and they will both taste different. You know, and they'll both do it a different way, and you might love both of them. You know.
Yeah.
But depends on who's doing it. You might not like it at all.
We'll get into some of this stuff more deeply when Paul comes back and we do a proper show. Well, I'm fascinated for all kinds of reasons, but Irate Reviews says, hello, I'm toying with the idea of building a parts caster telly type thing. Any personal experience, stories, suggestions or horrors? Thank you for the tones.
I have a message of warning. You will have no idea. You can think about the things you like about certain guitars. you won't know until it gets together. I had a parts caster, a really expensive parts caster built in Australia, and they used the best of everything at a guitar builder, really great guitar builder, built me an amazing guitar.
The best of everything.
Well, I had, really nice Brazilian rose, all the stuff that should make an amazing guitar.
Yeah.
I got it and it was an absolute pig. It just sounded dead and lifeless, and I was like,
so thanks, Davo's Guitars.
yeah.
Yeah, so start cheap, I guess, is the moral of the story there, and pick up some stuff that's cost effective. Make all your mistakes on the first one you do, and then when you do it again, then you can up the ante a bit. Have you ever done anything like that?
Me?
Yeah, put guitars together. Not really your thing.
Well, funnily enough, the first Strat that I learnt to play on was actually, it was that period. It was a Boogie Bodies.
Oh, okay.
And it was a Roger Giffen neck.
Yeah.
And it was a great guitar and it got stolen. So, but that was people putting it together. And I went into the shop and tried it when it was already together.
Yeah.
So I liked it. And it was different from anything else, different colour from anything else. It was just,
Yeah.
it was 1977, I think, or something like that. So it was, but I don't know. I mean, I've got a Warmouth body Strat body ready to go. Been trying to find a neck. So we're going to get a neck, and then put some pickups on it and blah blah blah. My friend Bill Puplett, found it for me and said, "You should buy this because I know this is going to work." So I trust him. But we haven't had a chance to do it, and he hasn't been so well so recently. So anyway, at some point, I would actually recommend that you find a Telecaster that you like it playing acoustically, and then put some better pickups on it and better hardware on it. Maybe at some point, or you might just find one. I mean, look, I've played Mexican Fender made Strat that's as good as any. Telecaster that's as good as any as I've ever played.
Yeah.
A friend of mine bought. Occasionally, just find one that's just a killer,
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't want to put him off his doing his thing.
And sometimes
you might get lucky as well. I mean, you might just buy.
And sometimes the motivation for doing it is the doing of it.
Yeah, it's fun.
And
yeah.
as a project, it's rewarding to do. So, maybe start more cost effectively. Go slow. Don't try and get it all done in a weekend. Do a bit. Try and be grown up enough to go. Okay, that's enough for today. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea.
Well, bourbon.
Yeah.
And then carry on.
Yeah, and then
There's
come
a
back
video.
to it.
Parts caster over a weekend.
I
on
think-
bourbon.
I think
Maybe I'll get that,
let's do that. Drunk parts caster
Maybe I'll get my bits down.
with Dan and Mick.
Yeah, let's do it.
Brilliant.
That's the three of us.
Yeah.
Bill.
Yeah. And then
Bill
jam
was
at the
Strat.
end once the bottle's empty.
I think this bit goes on here.
No, let's not do that.
Yeah. So take your time and do it for the love of doing it. Try
You
not
play
to have
this,
too much
you play this.
expectation about how great the guitar is going to be, because it might not. And
Beautiful.
Victor Gustafsson. Sorry, we got a few more to go. We do
Okay.
need to get out of here. Victor Gustafsson says, "Hey gents, I want to apologise for a joke of poor taste I did in the chat last week. Sorry about that. Thanks for all you do." Can't remember it, Victor. I think
I remember it, Victor.
we let those things go into the ether, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
No,
Never apologise, never explain. As a few CEOs have told me.
no worries. But thank you.
Sub Rosa says, "Do drive pedals that reverse phase play much into your selection process for use? Will you use one that doesn't, even if the sound is a hair lesser?"
So they become a problem if you are splitting the signal and then putting the drive on one side. If you have the drive before you split the signal and it reverses the phase, then both sides are reversed and it's
No big deal.
No big deal.
Well,
But
to us it's no
funnily enough,
big deal. To some people it is.
yeah, it can, yeah. It loads of people would say, well, it doesn't really make any difference, but
I know people who are quite fussy about whether it goes out and then in rather than in then out.
Yeah, Matt Schofield's very sensitive.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Going out first, yeah. So
well,
going that way, yeah.
If the phase is reversed in a pedal, does it bother you?
Yeah.
In a mono situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather it was in phase. Yeah, or going forward.
Yeah.
And you can test it out by
flipping
your thing on the back and putting a coin up and putting something through it, see how far up the coin goes. That was how they used to do it back in the day.
Wow.
Before we could see it, I'm saying this like I actually haven't done that, but I can't wait to do it as a test. But yeah, no, I don't.
There are some things.
Polarity, I think you call it.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah.
Yes, there is phase and there's polarity, and
they are different.
We are going to make a video about that. There are some things that I don't want to hear, and that's one of them.
Right.
So once you start, it's like when you start messing around with vintage tubes. I'm like, I don't want to do that because I know what I hear is going to be expensive and time consuming.
Yeah.
So there are some things that I steer away from because I know it's going to lead me down a rabbit hole of not making even more music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Gordon Rankin says phase is always a concern when I design. Yeah, I think for all designers, it should be.
It really should be the same going out as it was going in.
Yeah. I think it's either. Well, yeah, no, it just should be.
Well, it should be unless we find out that the Electric Mistress isn't, and then we go, "Oh, it sounds
that's
great."
Fine. It's amazing.
It's fine. Yeah, that's what I mean. But that, I mean, it's got to sound good, but I don't think. Yeah. Should we leave it at that?
Yeah. For me, as Dan says, if it's a drive pedal and there's no split happening, probably no big deal. If it's a delay pedal, in the case of the Catlett Belly Pop Deluxe, for example, which flips the phase, it's a royal pain because every time you turn it on, one half of your rig goes the other polarity. So, we've discussed that many times.
Mm-hmm. It's tough with delays. Actually, it can be tricky with delays. If you're just doing it on one amp, there can be some problems. Yeah.
The Pedal Porn team have done a highly generous super chat. Thank you very much.
Mate.
With leg ends and a black heart and a rocket ship. Thank you. That's really crazy kind of you. And that will be us for today, I believe. Thank you.
Is that 2 hours?
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
2 hours and 20.
Oh.
Thank you so much for being with us. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's been great fun. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sorry, I'm...
You sure you don't want to open that bourbon up?
We will totally do it. We will totally do it when you come in.
When you come in.
There's the carrot. Thank you so much for Paul for coming in. And we will put this out as a podcast tomorrow. For those of you who listen to it on the podcast, hello to our lovely podcast listeners.
Yeah, indeed.
And this Friday is a video on digital delay, where we got some pretty epic sounds, even if I say so myself.
It has sent me into a crisis, the sounds we got on that video.
It does sound pretty spectacular. So
I want to hear about this.
Yeah.
We'll do that on Friday, and then the following Friday we've got Andy Wood. And then some other stuff.
There's some other stuff?
Yeah. Loads of stuff happening.
Beautiful.
What are you doing? Are you recording? Are you gigging?
I just finished mixing a band called Beechwood Sparks. I think I can say that. And then next there's a couple of things in the pipeline which I can't talk about at the moment. So, but I will. Oh no! I suppose I better talk to you about them. I'm supposed to be in a band with you, aren't I?
Yeah. So we're doing something.
We're doing something.
We're doing something which is So it's the members of Tin Spirits, but we're getting Paul Stacey in on
Aluminium
guitar,
Visions.
on aluminium, or something like Lead Vapors, or No, actually the band's called Division of Labour, and we're writing stuff at the moment, and we've had a, it's just, anyway, super fun. Imagine being in a room with this guy. And it's just...
I played on...
Annoying.
I played with Paul once, and it was quite the experience.
Annoying.
Inspiring, I would say.
Yeah,
It's the word.
Humbling.
It's the word.
And
actually, I missed the question from Jim B, so we'll do this quickly, as it is a very specific question. He says, Jim B says, do you remember the song that made you want to play the guitar? It says it was Rock Around the Clock for him. He was 7 years old in 1976.
the first song that made me think the guitar is awesome was War of the Worlds.
Wow.
The ooh-la sounds. Ooh-la. I thought, what the hell is that?
And that made you want to pick up the guitar?
It made me want to explore it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice. Paul, can you remember?
Yeah, I think it was because I went to see a guitar player play at an event on a Saturday night, you know, the sort of like top 20 lot. Yeah, back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he was playing a Les Paul Custom and he played Europa. So he played Santana's Europa, and I just remember going, oh, I think I want to do that. Oh, sorry. Albatross.
Albatross. Okay.
Sorry, but it was all around the same time, which
you
was
guys
interesting.
played
that when
Albatross together, didn't you?
No, I didn't play Albatross.
Okay.
Neville did, I think, didn't he?
No, I played that alone, actually. I was like, going, no, sorry, this is Albatross.
And very wonderful it was.
No,
so,
we did
Mick and Paul played at
the Bonhams. It was the thing with Peter Green singing.
Guitar sale,
which was really wonderful.
Well, it was almost strange to be asked, because obviously I'm not even known in that. But I was very happy to do it, because Albatross was the first thing that I heard. I actually went to a classical guitar teacher and said, will you teach me Albatross? And he said, no. And I said, okay. He said, but if you learn Greensleeves, which I'm supposed to learn, I'll teach you Albatross. So I learnt Greensleeves, and then I said, okay, right, Albatross. And he went, no. And I just went, goodbye. And that was it. And I never went back to him again.
I think mine would have been... as a young kid, it would have been Elvis. Apparently, I was nuts. My parents, at age 3 years old, 2 years old, 2, 3, got me a guitar, which I played the wrong way around and would get irate with and smash. My dad worked it out after about the third one that if he tuned it to the chord of the song, I wouldn't smash it.
Fantastic.
True story. But after that, it was Quo. It was Status Quo.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Caroline.
Down, down, deeper and down.
Down, down,
but,
yeah.
you know, I mean, that Quo, I mean, come on.
And that was it.
HH amps. Oh, yes.
There were sexy men with long hair playing loud guitars.
They did it differently than anybody else, didn't they? It was Chuck very influenced, but oh, amazing.
I got to meet Francis a few times, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We've gone on too long. Thank you for being with us. BV, thank you so much for your help with the moderation. Thanks everyone for watching, being patron, all that stuff that you help keep the lights on here at TPS. We are massively appreciative of it.
Indeed. Thanks so much. And just to end, Paul's going to show me how to play Albatross.
Nice.
I still don't know how to do it.
Good.
Please.
How do you do it?
I was going to do it really wrong. Like the Les Dawson version.
This is Seagull.
Sorry. Anyway, look, I'm not. I have to play this through an amp.
How do you do the bend? Show me the bend bit where it goes.
Oh, I don't remember. I played it a few weeks ago.
But the dual bends thing.
Oh,
how does that go?
Oh, I did actually do it. I did something like that.
Okay. Beautiful.
No, see, I'm out. I think I was I in on the night?
Yeah.
because you've got to bend this one harder than this. So.
Awesome.
I'll say it publicly. I had a tear in my eye when you were playing it.
Oh,
It was
thank
quite
you.
Useful.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Right, play us out then. Really?
What are we going to play? We're going to play. We can play. So. You know what's going to happen? My hand's going to fall off at the end of this. I've got to practice this. It's like a cross-country one.
You know where you can get some kit for that?
And then one up, and
Then no more.
it goes. No, up
that-
a semitone, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And then it goes. And then you're going to do the misplaced bit.
You do it.